All right. It is not a rum and coke night tonight, but after that glorious dumpster fire that we just had on the Non-Sequitur show, I have a little bit of this left. It's like a little bit like that. It's going to be gone tonight. So this is the after show for the Aron Rod George Lujack, I believe is his last name, discussion we just had on the Non-Sequitur show. My God.
Lujack.
My God. How do you pronounce it? Not that I care.
Lujack. Loon. That's not really how you pronounce it. But
okay.
And guys, I'm not on camera because Steve is drinking rum, but I'm partaking in a activity that legally I cannot broadcast on.
I think you can now if you're I don't know. I see people do it all the time, but this is
not
corn
North
whiskey.
Carolina.
Actually, it's actually very, very potent corn whiskey. That's why I had this. This is actually what I got for when our roommate moved out. We all celebrated, and the landlord, because all the stuff we did to help get this guy out, he actually bought this, and I've had it ever since. And I just love the thing, but I never finished it. So tonight goes.
Did you see my Twitter? I've effectively, if you haven't seen our Twitter, if you're not following this, you can find us at Nonsec Show. That's NONSEQ show. But I have effectively, as of tonight, resigned from the Non-Sequitur show. I'm retired now.
What about a debate?
That was it for me. No.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring in Nephilim Free as my new co-host.
You know what? You still won't be able to top what just happened tonight.
Yeah, I will. You know what? God, I hate to say this, and please, this is going to bite me in the ass. But I think actually Nephi probably understood science better than this guy.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Nephilim Free looks like Bill Nye the Science Guy compared to.
I mean, Nephi gets a lot of shit wrong, but he at least kind of sort of.
I feel weird.
Something.
I feel weird. Let's stop this.
Yeah, this is.
But
gross.
Yes, Rob, we're still. By the way, guys, since Rob leaked it, Rob and I will be battling it out at the end of June. On a very important issue.
At the end of June, maybe.
August
or June.
Yeah. I forgot you're going out of town anyway. He thinks that. Listen to this. He thinks, Steve, get this. He actually thinks that the Sphinx was built when they say it was.
You silly boy.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
And the Sphinx had a beard as well.
I don't have.
He's stuck on the beard. Oh, Rob, this is not going to be fun. Look, you need to call.
In fact,
George,
I'm gonna grow out a beard for the debate just to show.
Did you see what happened tonight? That's going to be you in a month's time.
This is going to be you next month, Robert. Just FYI.
Actually, I'm going to use Steve's beard because that's exactly the beard.
We gotta put this on a shirt. People want my profile, like I think where his the coin that he did. They want that on a shirt that says "I exist, believe" on it. So we have to get that to Dave.
Are you sure they want that, Steve, or is that something that you want?
No, they're asking in the live chat something along those lines.
Oh, I'm sure they are. I can hear Steve now. Huh? You know, I look good on a coin. Let's put that on a shirt.
I did. Rick was right about that. But anyway,
is it gonna be colorless?
It'll be colorless for the most part, I guess. Yeah, it'll be transparent because people want to see nipple.
Okay.
So, anyways, back to the actual debate that we just had, and I wouldn't even call it a debate. That was another Aron schooling. And
Can we talk about something
else? He didn't get equal time during the discussion because Aron relinquished the vast majority of his time and still kicked his ass. So, what do you think?
I wonder why we do this to ourselves. That's what I think. That's what I'm thinking right now.
And by the way, I've had this for a long while. I don't know if people think I'm going to drink that a lot because I have that much left. So,
people, stop watching the show, please. This is your time to no longer watch the Non-Sequitur show, so we don't have a reason to keep doing this.
And it can only get worse.
No, it can't. It really can't.
Oh, it has got to. Oh, yes.
No.
Definitely get worse.
Myself and Digital Hammurabi actually were sending each other messages laughing over George's misapplication of the text and the signs. I mean,
that's the beauty. Go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry.
He said he was an old Earth creationist, and I was thinking to myself, okay, I don't know who this guy is, but fingers crossed he has some inkling of like a Hugh Ross model in mind. Absolutely not at all close.
The beauty of this stream tonight, though, is that it brought Christians and atheists together against stupidity. Like, we were all united against dumbness tonight, and I think we can all hang our hats high tonight.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. Tomorrow we will be at war again, but tonight we drink together.
Tonight we drink. It's kind of like the armistice where they had on Christmas Day between the Russians and the Germans, I think.
Yeah, you guys drink your Jesus blood, and we'll have our pot and beer, and
L'chaim, people, L'chaim. Yeah, it's something to be said for the fact that when everybody is against you, including people of your own faith that say you don't know jack shit, you might want to reevaluate your positions. Now, I just found out that he had written a book, Kyle. Is that the case?
I don't even want to. Yes.
I don't want to like give him any things to his book, but
Mysteries of the Bible Revealed, or Mysteries of the Scripture Revealed.
I'm mortified.
Yeah, the moment he said that, already red flags were just being raised for me, because these titles give off that impression of like he's a one-man ministry sort of thing.
Like the Holy Bible?
I don't want to say cult, but close.
What would it be? Did Stephen DeMattei or any of them kind of read his book? I mean, I'm just curious what they would have thought of it.
No, don't even do that to them.
I don't even think it's a book that would have been published academically.
So no, I'm sure it's Kindle or something. It's kind of like a what's his name, a Mr. ID thing. He wrote 6 books. They were pamphlets on Kindle.
Well, Aron loves a good brawl. He loves a good challenge, and for him to just go, you know what? I can't even beat up on him anymore. I mean, that there's bad things coming, and I thought we could salvage it out because I thought maybe at the beginning he seemed reasonable. He seemed like he, we had a talk before. We always talk to our guests before we go live on air, and it was very friendly. He was, we were all laughing. The funny thing is, we were laughing at Kent Hovind putting a picture of a bowl cut Jesus cradling a raptor on his Dinosaur Adventureland grand opening flyers. We were laughing at that, and then he turns around and says, that the Earth was formed, sat there for 1 billion years, while God had a star counting mission, and then turned around and decided to populate the Earth. In what world is that?
Yeah, he came across he believed the Earth was old and they accepted evolution, and he was just mocking Kent along with the rest of us. Did he like switch gears somewhere halfway in the conversation there, Kyle, or something?
Maybe we got
his 6,000-year-old. Yeah, his 6,000-year-old date did not even contradict Ken Hovind's model. That's what I was like. What? You just said young Earth creationism is. He gave some pretty rude remarks towards young Earth creationism and the model. Like, he was pretty staunch against it. And then when he says, "Oh, but all this happened 6,000 years ago," excuse me, that is the young Earth creationist model.
Rob, just come over to the dark side. Get out of that. Those are your people. Those are your people.
Do you really want to be associated with those people, those types? I mean, even I gotta admit, I'm getting jaded as fuck. Even I even got on, Robert the other day, and I don't think I was wrong to do so. But I love Robert. But even I was
no, you and I were fine, Steve. I don't.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would never ever disrespect you in any way, right? I mean,
he's been testy. He's been after me for the past 2 days on my conspiracy theory. Like,
Robert has?
Yes.
Yeah, we've been chatting.
Okay.
He like I said, Steve, he honestly believes that the Sphinx was made what they said it was.
That's a shill.
No, he's an Egypt shill. They're even worse. They like to dress up in the gold garb and put beards on. He's got an obsession with beard. I'm really concerned, Robert. I love you, but I'm really concerned.
I personally don't like beards, but I mean, no offense to Steve. Like, Steve's beard is nice, but yeah, no, I'm staying with the scholarship on the whole Sphinx thing.
I didn't think you were supposed to lie. Christians were supposed to lie, Rob.
I'm not lying. I showed you a screenshot of my Google Drive.
Oh, I was talking about Steve's beard. I was talking about Steve's beard being nice.
Oh, he has a very impressive Google Drive. If you haven't checked out,
I've seen it. He sends me
massive.
He sends me tech pics all day long.
Yeah, lots of tech pics. I mean, it's impressive.
It's definitely the biggest tech pic I've seen.
Oh yeah,
hands down.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's so hard.
Hands down. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, audience, do you guys have any any questions for us? I would much rather take Q&A than.
Yeah, I'm down with that. That's fine. Let's take some Q&A about what you guys want to ask us about how the 3-hour ordeal went. And I'm sorry, not sorry for that ordeal, because it was just gloriously fucked up.
Something about Sundays. Every Sunday is just.
It was so not what we expected. That was a non-sequitur show.
You got your dumpster fire.
We did we got a damn good one too.
Definitely got the dumpster
It's
fire.
never when it's not how this is supposed to work. This is why I'm quitting.
Yeah, I could see you were definitely getting frustrated with the guy. Well, I think everybody was getting frustrated with him.
Frustrated is not. I would kill to be frustrated right now. Like
I'm trying to be as diplomatic about it as
We're trying to
possible.
calm down
You
to get
look
to the frustrated part.
yeah. You look pissed. Hi, Kyle. By the way, I don't think I've ever actually talked to you before.
Hi, is Andrink? Why do I always get? I always have to say the names I can never pronounce. You know, we have not had a guest on yet with the last name Smith, or like, just a 3-letter word. It's always Dimate Lamborel. I have to take another English course to be able to pronounce guest last name. I can't get a break anywhere. Mine's
really easy. It's Person with 2 S's.
Oh, I can handle that.
Yeah, that makes it really awkward when I answer the phone saying, "Hi, this is Ron Person," and the person on the other side of the phone thinks that I'm saying wrong person.
That'd be that sucks.
I like that though. I like the llama.
The epic Landon has arrived.
Yeah, it was Llama Face.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad we can't do the Landon's here.
I'm how should I say, stunned by. I mean, there's a quote from Goethe that says, "There is nothing more frightening than ignorance in action."
I like that quote.
It was a pretty scary display of
ignorance.
Yeah, it is funny, and it was a little bit hyperbole, but it really wasn't when he asked, "What have I gotten wrong?" When I meant to say was everything, and what I said was everything, and I meant to say everything.
He got his name right.
He really didn't say anything I thought that he got right for the most part. If it was trivial. He was practically wrong on every single solitary scientific point that he said. Literally.
Well, that's incorrect, Steve. He was correct that Abraham Lincoln did exist.
That was not scientific, though.
And he made sure to go back to that point 4 times. 4 times
That's the one thing he got right. So get back to that.
Well, actually,
I was in disbelief because I was sitting there going, he's literally telling us that Abraham Lincoln did exist. Like we, of all the things that he said, that's the one thing we're going to cling to. Like, oh my God, can you believe that he didn't think Abraham Lincoln existed? No, that's the least of his.
Actually, he was right on one thing, that either Steve or himself was wrong. Obviously,
he did.
Obviously,
he was right on
the wrong one.
Well, he was right on one thing. He did get the dragonflies right, but his argument that he would have gone down. Really, I'm getting the link right now. He was going to use that argument to say that there was giants. He just didn't get that far. But
Nephilim.
He would have gone down the canopy theory with that one,
because
which is no different to Hall.
And part of the whole auctionated thing too. But yeah, the insects, because of the way they breathe and the exoskeleton, they did grow larger. But that doesn't affect mammals, and that kind of
Steve,
proves that argument.
That's exactly why the Smithsonian covered it up, though. See, you're playing right into
that's true.
The narrative that they want
I have the fake news article that proves it.
They actually helped build the Sphinx, Rob. That's a point I'm going to be bringing up at the end of
you are going to get so owned.
Oh,
which Sphinx did they help build? There's so many of them.
There were 3 of them. There's one in Pakistan. There's one in Egypt, I think. Actually, I'm just being sarcastic. I can't even finish the rest of that joke.
There was one in a Harry Potter book, I think, too.
Oh, there had to have been, yeah.
No, that was a griffin.
That
was a griffin.
I heard he had a beard. That's all that I heard.
People have asked, and we're taking a little Q&A, and I guess we're going to do it as a panel. But one of the questions asked, are you upset that Aron left? And I'm like, fuck no. I totally get why he left. He won and was done. Where was he going to go? I mean, I felt bad that we actually got him, but he's so inept. and wasting Aron's time. I was actually felt bad.
Aron is like the non sequitur version of the Undertaker. You know, like you're just happy that he pops up every now and then, and you get, you know, that kind of, like, I would love to have him have an intro the next time he's on where we actually have druids come out on screen.
I like what he said before we went on air. He said, "Gentlemen, how long is this going to take?"
Yeah, exactly.
We said, "Oh, about an hour."
we had a timer for him, and he said, "I don't want a timer. Don't worry about the timer. I'm not going to need 10 minutes to."
Aaron Rod just rage quit.
He did not rage quit.
There was no rage quit at all. He actually had to go. He actually said he couldn't.
He quit. He didn't rage quit, White.
No, he didn't even
there was
quit.
No rage at all.
He had done what he came to do. There was no more that he could bury that loon in the ground. So,
well, yeah, the guy didn't bring any new evidence, didn't even bother to look at the responses that Aron had about these things. And, you know, it's like, well, I'm not going to sit here for 30 minutes and explain and rehash all of this stuff again. Yeah. You know, go look at the videos. And when you have a cogent argument to make against what I've said, then come back.
It's 3-0 on non-sequitur. 3-0.
It took a Christian to come in and he bailed.
Huh?
It took a Christian to come in and he bailed.
What are you talking about?
You know, Sigart.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Sigart
was when Sigart, you know, came in and we had told him, you know, this guy is a Christian and we highly respect him. I think that kind of shot on over his parade that all of a sudden there was a bunch of atheists that just wanted to eliminate the need for God, because that narrative just needs to be shoved up somebody's ass. I mean, when he tells me what I believe, it's kind of like game over at that point. And I'm like, Aron, the conversation's pretty well done.
It was game over when he said, just because you have a PhD doesn't mean you know more than other people. And yes, that's exactly what that means. Like, that's the definition of what a PhD means. You know something more than the average person does.
Yeah, what was his response? Like, after Sai actually gave him like he said, if someone tells you to go fly a commercial airline, would you go ahead and do it? He didn't even understand what Sai was trying to get at with that question.
No, he said if there was nobody else to fly it, I would. Or if the co-pilot wanted to show me how, yes.
Yeah.
No, that's not what Sai was asking.
Remember, I don't know if you remember, Steve, we had this conversation about when somebody seems to ask a question out of the blue, why they don't want to answer it. And the whole psychology, because they feel a trap coming and they don't understand the question or why it's being asked. And so they do not want to answer it because that's their default position. That's the exact same thing that I saw with him, not wanting to. It's like,
I think Sai did a brilliant job by remembering his profession as a policeman. So when he said, like if you rewind the tape and you see George's face when Sai says, I wouldn't. It would be ludicrous for me to teach you how a policeman does his job.
Oh shit!
And then you could actually see him nod, like yeah, that makes sense. Then he completely dismisses his argument after that.
If you piss Sai off, then you have really reached a new level, because that man has the patience of. I mean, he went with toe to toe with true empiricism for 2 hours, spouting ATP synthase over and over again, and didn't break a sweat.
Yeah. I still can't believe how someone can seriously have the misconception of evolution to the point where they think what was the name of that model? The one before Darwinian.
He was
Lamarckian.
Yes, he was putting Lamarckian out. Yeah,
I don't.
Lamarckian approach.
How? But you know, if you fear the evolutionary model and have been told this runs counter to your faith, and your faith is everything, then you're going to throw everything back at evolution.
But it seems like there would be a point to where you would have to stop and take some self-inflection. Like, listen to what I'm saying and listen to how ridiculous what I'm saying sounds. You know, like there has to be a point where what others' reactions to you and what is being brought to you as far as evidence goes, that clash has to take place, and you have to really stop and go, maybe I'm wrong a little bit. And then you might land where Sai did, where it's like, okay, science and religion can go together, maybe. Because look at whose company he's with.
Yeah, but and I know that I'm going to upset some people, but often religious faith is just another term for intellectual suicide.
Sure.
I can
agree
agree with that.
I don't think even religious people would probably disagree to a point on that.
And I'm not saying it is, but that's often what it turns into. And so if you're told that, let's say, evolution is evil, right? And your faith depends upon, and you're showing how good of a Christian is, depends upon attacking evolution, then you'll throw whatever things at it because you believe you're correct, and you just don't have the right argument to knock it out, but you'll do it anyway because you got to be a good Christian to do that, or a Muslim, or whatever whatever you're coming from.
I think
So yeah, it's cognitive dissonance.
Well-
They have to dismiss new evidence to continue holding on to their old belief, their old worldview.
Welcome to the Laodicean mindset. That is literally the age
Yes.
of Christendom that we're living in at the moment.
I think so. I think that's a very good point.
But let me ask you. I mean, here's the way I'm looking at this. If somebody wants to say something is wrong, and they even want to say, "Look, I believe God did all this, whatever," but if they start a position saying science says this, and let me explain why it's why, that's one thing. But this guy, he said science is saying this, you guys are saying this, scientists are saying this. When they were every one of them, everything he said was a straw man. Nobody was saying any of that stuff. No scientist I've ever seen said any of that stuff. We certainly wouldn't. And he was bastardizing the actual science. So how is it, Landon, that none of these people, none of these younger creationists that we've had on, want to go learn the actual science and say, okay, this is how you guys interpret it in science. You guys, this is what it means in science. But let me explain why it's wrong from my point of view. That'd be a totally different argument.
But Steve, they have not used reason to get into that position. They've been, they've converted to Christianity. They've become a Christian, and they've been told to be a good Christian, you cannot believe in evolution, right? That's the fact they start with. That's the axiomatic system they start with, and then they'll break everything else, right? Now, yes, if you start with some absurd axioms, you'll get into some weird logic, but they're being compelled to attack evolution, and they're comfortable saying all these things because they have this faith that they're coming from truth. I'm not. By the way, I'm not trying to defend them. I'm just trying to at least suggest one of the mindsets.
As a Christian, I sympathize with what Landon's saying. That and to be honest, Landon, because I'm in the sciences, I'm still a student in academia, so I and everyone here knows I appeal to rigorous academic, methodology, and I myself cannot, for the life of me, understand the anti-intellectualism of the church today, like at large. Not every Christian. Like obviously, Sigurd is an example that he wouldn't, fit the category of George, but there's the point is that there's a lot of Georges out there and very few Sais, and that's what kind of makes me think, what the heck.
And I find it amazing that they should even care. I mean, I would think that the easiest thing to do if you're in that religious mindset is to say, well, I don't really care about how old the Earth is or how old the universe is. I'm thinking of more spiritual things, right? Fine. I mean, why make that an issue? That to me is baffling.
Well, I can't help but think that it has something to do with I don't know if any of you have heard. Actually, maybe this happened on this. I think it happened on this channel.
Probably.
Mary Schweitzer. Mary Schweitzer. One of the quotes that I love from her is, and I'm an atheist, so I just love this quote from her, is when she's doing science, when she has her science hat on, she is not a Christian. All she has is evidence. And I think for a lot of people, they cringe at that thought. They're like, no, at every moment, you have to be a Christian or else you're not a true one, or something like that, which is unfortunate, but I think that's why a lot of them say, well, then if it's not going to be like all Christian all the time, then I'm just going to deny this science.
I mean, could it be from a position that they're
I think if you're going to be a
insecure?
scientist, you're going to be a scientist all the time.
But could it be that they're insecure in their faith, and so they have to go in? I don't know. I mean,
I'm sure some of them probably are insecure in their faith, but I don't think that the vast majority are. I think the vast majority of Christians today are not really as Christian as they say they are. I think there are ones that go to church. I think there are ones that, profess to be so, but it's not a huge part of their lives. And I think the ones that we see the most that are anti-science are the ones that make it a lot of their livelihood, which I think they have every right to, but I disagree.
I've gone to church in the past.
I'd be kind of inclined to agree with what you were saying, because as being raised a Christian, and I know a lot of the same people that were going to church with me, and now I don't go to church as well. They're not going to church as well. So, I mean, it's not as strong held as it used to be back in, I even like the 80s. It's just not. I don't see it as upheld as much, or such a cornerstone, I guess I would say.
Tristan, when I lived in Wyoming.
Yeah, this quote by
Mary
Schweitzer.
Let Tristan read it, because he had mentioned Mary Schweitzer. Read this quote if you can. This was actually from, like you said, this was on my channel. This was from Dr. Mary Schweitzer, and I think this quote was amazing. I wish, if you want to.
Real quick, Steve, you now are at 666 videos.
Yeah, I know. I took a screenshot of it yesterday. I've reached the Illuminati. So
no, that's exactly why tonight went the way that it did. It's your fucking fault. You had one job, Steve.
Damn Satan.
Steve, what you should have instead of cats. Maybe there's a reason why you have cats there, but you should have Ken Ham's Ark encounter instead, above that quote. Yeah. That would be a perfect illustration.
Well, read the quote, and then you'll see why this is the cats. But this is what he should have known, because he literally put words in Mary Schweitzer's mouth that she didn't say. And this is actually from her actual transcript from the video that we did from the interview. So we want to read this?
Yeah. So if these guys would take half the energy that they spend trying to prove that the world is young and use it to change the world around them, feed the hungry, take care of the kids, get the cats off the street, anything, that our world would be so much better. But they waste so much time and energy and effort on disproving that the world is old.
Ain't that the truth? I mean, she's right. I mean, she's so right, though. I mean, these people, the whole ideological belief system revolves around the fact that they're being told the earth is young. And if that's not true, then their whole ideological worldview goes to shit. And Mike O did a super chat, and he actually commented something like this. He said, if your faith is compromised by the scientific consensus of evolution, your faith is weak and you're incredulous to your own God's power, period. And I think that Mike is right on that.
And I think that's part of back to the part of perhaps some people are really insecure in their faith, and they need to commit intellectual suicide in order to hold on to that faith. Remember, because also a lot of times the faith comes with the whole social structure around it, the friends, the family, the relatives, all the social aspect of their religion is a very difficult thing to remove themselves from.
Yeah, there's Christians in this hangout right now that don't have a problem with that. As far as I know, the White Engine and General Han Solo subscribe to science and evolution. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know General Han Solo does.
I'm a young Earth creationist flat earther.
We can't be together anymore, Rob.
Fuck off, Rob. Anyway.
The world's
Rob, it's so over between us.
The world's a flat disc underneath a glass dome on the back of a giant turtle.
There,
I know better, White Engine, but anyway.
I'll be whatever you want me to be.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
I think that anybody with any kind of brain knows that young Christian is bullshit. What I do find, though, is this guy, he wanted to make it against atheism. And we didn't even get into that because the first thing he was saying was like atheism is faith, blah, 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 when it had no relevancy to the actual topic. And I see a lot of people trying to do that, and they relate concepts like evolution, Big Bang, and dark matter, and all this shit to, oh, if you're an atheist, it's an atheist worldview, it's scientism. And I have to say that's probably one of the most dishonest approach I've ever seen from a Christian when they do that kind of stuff. I mean, it to me reeks of dishonesty. If you're a Christian, you should be held to a little bit of your own standard. Do not bear false witness. And I'm not trying to do no true Scotsman. I'm not trying to preach to them. But if you're going to portray yourself with a moral high ground to be a Christian, stop doing shit like that, because it just makes you look so just willfully dishonest.
He started from. I got an email from him.
To paraphrase,
where'd
you find this George guy?
I'm going to tell you when he wanted to put this thing together. I got an email out of the blue from him, or maybe it was from an associate of his, but they had this lengthy email said that I started out by saying I watched the Aron debate with Kent Hovind. I thought Kent Hovind dropped the ball. He did really bad. I think I could do a better job at explaining what the Bible really means than Kent did. And so he actually debated Kent. There's a on Calgary, I think is the channel, but you can go and see him take on Kent Hovind. And I was like, okay. And the crazy thing is, he came in and he argued the one thing that Aron and Kent argued. The exact point is what they got stuck on tonight. And he lasted a quarter of the time that Kent Hovind did. He made Kent Hovind look like Bill Nye the Science Guy tonight. So
I'm totally buying that shirt.
Yeah, we gotta do a shirt for George. Somebody had a good comment or caption too, but Dave's going to be actually putting up some more shirts here. I think we got some stuff for brainstorming.
I think we should do toilet paper for George instead.
But if your faith depends upon certain scientific principles going one way or the other, what kind of faith do you have? Right?
I've never.
Right. Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't know.
The only position I can see for a person that is scientifically minded would be, hey, I accept the science. I'm totally cool with that, and I just believe that God, is the founder for everything. God is the reason for everything. Whatever. I mean, other people could be like, "Oh, that's faith." Blah blah. What? I don't care. The science, though, is what I'm coming from. If you're okay with saying all the science is right, but I just think that God's an explanation for certain the main cause, the overall reason for everything. Yeah, so what? I don't have a dog in that fight personally.
Yeah. I don't either, but I feel like going back to something I'm gonna paraphrase horribly from I've heard. I am terrible with names. No, it is. It's
G-Man.
No, definitely not him.
No, no,
please, not him.
Give us a hint. Let's play 20 questions. Are you talking about a creationist, evolutionist, what?
No, I'm talking about he does Cosmos. God damn it!
Oh, about Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Tyson. There's the guy who is Pluto challenged.
Yes.
yes. Go Plutoist.
Poor Pluto.
Love Pluto. We love
Pluto.
Got screwed.
I've got Pluto up there on my wall. Actually.
Yeah, Pluto got fucked.
Give me Pluto back. I want Pluto back.
My whole childhood was a fucking lie. Thanks, Neil.
Exactly.
You will not be my favorite because it wasn't straight
on my wall. But one of the things that he said, or basically the point he was trying to get across, was that as we go on, like, people used God as an explanation for things because they didn't understand it, and as we go on, God keeps getting pushed back, and eventually we're going to get to the point where God fits so smallly into this little gap of the knowledge that we do have and we don't have that it's going to essentially be meaningless.
I agree to that to a point. If you're positing God
as a faith statement,
one second. If you're positing a deity for a scientific explanation for things like the God of the gaps, then yes, I think Neil's completely correct. However, I am taking it from more of a philosophical approach for the God. claim, right? So, I mean, yeah, if I'm saying, hey, we don't understand something, ergo God, then yeah, then all your God is an ever-receding pocket of ignorance. I totally agree with me on that one. Yes.
So it's also the literalism is another thing that's important. There are certain people that say, don't think this is exactly what it is you're supposed to believe, and take it, literally. And in fact, they compete as to who could be more literal minded on certain things. But their faith depends upon that literal interpretation being true, and they'll defend their faith to a high degree, to quite an extreme.
I want to say though, Henry Schaefer, the Graham Purdue professor of chemistry and computational quantum chemistry, he said, to quote him, like paraphrase him, he said, "The significance and joy in my science comes in those occasional moments of," I think he said, of discovering something new, and then saying to myself, that's how God did it. And so I like that quote because when I also do science and at the same time wrestle with theology, I'm not immediately going like shutting my mind off and going, oh, okay, I'm just going to leave it up to magic and like wizard stuff.
And I think that's a good approach.
But rather, when I make the discoveries, so when science makes the discoveries, I praise God for that, because it's like, wow, look at the wisdom in this.
Right, you're essentially taking a Newtonian kind of approach to it, where Newton was devout Christian, went out to try and discover how God did things, and I have no problem with that. I have problem either.
Although Newton got really into numerology and he had his own. He had his own thing.
He had his own craziness.
But science came from natural philosophy, natural theology. Science is one of those things because, like you said, they wanted to know how God did it. Okay, fine, whatever. I just think that when people posit God as a scientific explanation, I think like what George didn't understand, he didn't understand methodological naturalism. He just said, oh, well, atheists, because of science, just by fiat, basically assert methodological naturalism, therefore you can't have any supernatural explanations. Well, no, that's actually theists that made that way. Science came out of that kind of thing because they were looking for how God did things. They wanted a naturalistic explanation. They didn't ever want to posit things that were, okay, let's posit genies and leprechauns or fairies. They wanted to find naturalistic explanations for natural phenomenon. And that's why science is powerful, because it doesn't allow for any kind of supernatural causation.
I kind of disagree that he didn't understand, though. I think he was actually purposely building straw mans. Like, I don't know how you could think that going out and getting a tan.
He didn't understand. Trust me, I could see it on his face.
No, I know he didn't understand, but I think he was purposely trying to make it even worse, like saying that going out and getting a tan.
But if you're arguing
Lamarckianism, that's what he was promoting.
Yeah, to a certain extent, I think I agree. I think he was building a straw man in the fact that he wouldn't listen after people were trying to correct him.
Right. He just shut his whole brain down.
But you think, because remember, if you really believe that your faith is correct, then anything you throw at it, to defend it is okay. And they do it kind of like, in a court of law, where the defense is basically saying, would you believe my client did this instead? No. How about this? Right? You can go and give 15 different explanations of why your client is innocent. If one of them sticks and the jury says, oh, there's some plausible doubt, then you're fine. And I think that's part of this rationalization thing. They firmly believe that their faith is correct, and anything they do to throw against it is fair game. And the fact that they fail 15 times doesn't bother them, because they still believe they're correct.
I feel like you should at least
they just completely just throw all different types of rationale at them just to see which one actually works the best in their favor.
Yes.
Right, but I feel like you should at least understand your opposition. I mean, I feel like that's one of the most important things when you're going into a debate or a discussion is understanding your opposition.
But you're coming from a logical standpoint. This is not a logical standpoint. This is this. Yes, if we were debating some logic thing, maybe, but this is not logic. And I think you're trying to subscribe logic to something they didn't use logic get into in the first place.
True. You didn't reason yourself to be in a position to even be reasoned out of, right? But Tristan, let me ask you, because you caught it. You did catch it when he was talking about the tan and he was talking about stuff. You obviously picked up he was talking about Lamarckianism.
Yes.
So what was his reasoning, do you think, for that, though? Why would he subscribe to a defunct position that cost Russia millions of lives because they couldn't even feed their own people because they were listening to Lamarck? So why do you think he was going there? Because I couldn't understand that.
I think it's because he knew how ridiculous it sounded. I think he was trying to essentially say, like, this is what microevolution is in terms of, like, for one thing, he didn't understand it. I definitely think he didn't grasp the concept of really what evolution was. But also I think it was, if he could say that going out and getting gains and getting that sweet tan was what microevolution was,
I know, then
he can basically say, well, how do you think that this could possibly lead to a cat becoming a dog or a dog becoming a fish or something?
Do you want to explain that for people that may not know what Lamarck was trying to
okay back then? Sure. So Lamarckian evolution, basically, back before really the models were any sort of evidence was really supported for any of them. Basically they were like, okay, we know animals change over time, but we don't know how. And so Darwinian came well after Lamarckian, or not well after, but like after, and essentially cemented it and overcame Lamarckian. But Lamarckian was essentially the original sort of idea that people were like, okay, this kind of makes sense. And the idea was basically that an animal develops traits over time throughout its life that it then will pass down genetically to its offspring. So if one of the most common examples is the giraffe. If the giraffe stretches its neck enough, it's going to have a slightly longer neck. When it reproduces, its offspring will then inherit that acquired trait. Despite the fact that that acquired trait is not programmed into its genetic code, it's instead a trait that it developed physically.
Well, in their defense, they didn't know about genetics at that point. So
yeah, no,
right.
I don't think Lamarck had a bad idea. I think that he, for what he was observing, it was basically use and disuse of things, like the use of to stretch. He, I don't think he was far off for what he should have. And by the way, there is something called neo-Lamarckianism. It basically takes some concepts of acquired characteristics that can be passed down through heredity, but it gets rid of all the other bullshit that was wrong. And so when actually epigenetics, that would fall under that.
And what actually he just gave example of, that would be a beneficial trait as well.
Yeah, because the giraffe was stretching his neck. Higher leaves, and so they would pass that down to their children. Obviously, we know it doesn't work that way. We know that a person works out a lot, not going to pass down, the muscle to the children. We know that if you get a tan, your children aren't going to be born with a tan. But I think for the time, it made kind of sense. But that model was just proven ages ago. No. That's what I didn't know why he brought that up. It really displayed that he really didn't understand what macroevolution.
But I was presuming the person was going down the faith handbook saying, throw this argument at him, throw this argument at him, throw this argument at him. And just basically, it just keep going down the list.
They have a checklist.
Hoping something sticks. It's like how sometimes lawyers will argue in a court of law, and they're not bothered by the fact that they've just impugned their character 15 different times in putting up absurd things, because again, they believe they're coming from a source of truth.
Yeah, no, I get that approach, right? I think it's a dishonest approach, but I do get that. But that's why I like focusing on one topic. I know you can on the non sequitur, I get that. But when I have a dialogue like we did with Matt last night, If you guys have ever watched, I had Matt Power on last night, and I went through the
Great
Creationist
show.
Handbook. Thank you very much. I actually like those kind. I really do. Those are my favorite things to do, to be honest with you. I love doing shit like that. And we got to go through the Creationist Notebook or Handbook 9th edition with a younger creationist, and in real time show him that these claims were wrong. And he actually did the legwork for most of them and realized, shit, yeah, they are wrong. And I think that put a chink in his beliefs, because it's one domino after another domino after another domino. And again, I'm not trying to convert him out of religion, but he definitely was like, well, yeah, Hovind made some mistakes here. Okay, there you go. Let's work with that, and let's see how many mistakes he made. You know,
we just need to get him out of the whole kill homo thing.
Yeah, that's bad. I don't
can't
recommend that. Yeah, killing people
can't
because they're
confirm
gay
it.
is wrong. People don't do that.
Yeah.
Yes, please, no.
Well, he justifies
I
it
can't
by.
confirm that I've. Oh,
Well, go ahead. He justifies it how?
Oh,
no,
he just.
Okay,
he
go.
just-
Sorry. Go ahead.
Like if you
He justifies it by abdicating his morality and his responsibility for those things to a government, as though he's not responsible for the
Which is
government that
what
he
I said.
has.
Yeah,
Because
that's
it's
what I
so
said.
Yeah.
moral.
Yeah, I
So
don't
in his
understand.
eyes, it does seem
But I
moral
don't
because
want
he's
Kyle
not the one with
killed.
blood on
I
his
like
hand.
Kyle. I don't want to break in a new partner.
I
I'm
don't-
sure
I
he's
don't-
doing like a little show.
Although
once a
I
week
will
with
say, after
his
tonight's
kids,
stream, I actually, Matthew Powell, if you're listening, I will take you up on that stone.
but- just
Please,
drag him out.
we
Hey,
finally
I've-
seen Matt. We finally seen Mad Kyle.
Yeah.
I think I've invested enough into the Non-Sequitur show. I don't want Kyle dying either.
Yeah, we appreciate.
Well,
your
that's
volunteer for
this
that.
is
Thank you.
this is good. This is
Nobody
If
wants
you
you to
bring
die
a cre-
besides one person, Kyle. That's pretty good. You know, more people want me to die than they do you. So what does that
well,
you
mean?
bring a-
this is obvious, though, Steve.
You just have to balance it
You're-
I
out.
don't even know if I exist and they want me dead. What does that tell you?
You're a
Kyle's
dick.
so
bring
much
a-
better looking, though.
If you bring a
Although you do-
creationist here to a debate about evolution, you know how it's going to turn out.
Not
Yeah.
well.
And I think then the question is, what is it? What's the point? I mean, I would have rather heard, Aron talk, 30 minutes about phylogenetics than to have him waste his time with this kind of stuff. I don't.
It's a different dichotomy, though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a troubled because I'll tell you this: some of the best streams that we do, especially with the history things, we'll maybe by the next day it'll get a couple thousand. But these, if you go look at our top videos, all of our top videos are the Kent Hovind, Flat Earth, the Skype Healer, the guy who drinks piss, and
Guy who drinks piss.
Oh, the guy that
Oh,
drinks piss.
God,
Oh, I
that
remember
guy.
him.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
yeah.
no.
So
It still hurts to hear when you hear that, right?
So there's our
To this day, you're
audience,
still reeling
guys.
from that.
That's
going,
our
But
audience.
yeah, fucking people still do that. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the next thing. Shit eaters.
Oh god.
Don't say it because
mean,
you're not
yeah.
going to self-fulfilling
Don't-
prophecy.
You know,
Don't
funny
give
you
them any-
say that because I got an email today from.
Don't give them any
Oh,
ideas.
no.
You bring someone like that on, you will be finding a new producer.
Yeah, it's one thing about golden showers, but that's a whole different thing.
You don't want to have the you don't want to have the 2 girls 1 cup show.
No,
Ah.
No.
I'm still a
The-
2
the
cup.
thing is,
I'm
PTSD
still
we
a
from
try
that
to
2 girls 1
strike
cup
a-
virgin.
we
It's gonna
try to
stay that
strike
way.
a balance though between the two, and I think we've hit a good stride in that. We have
Refrain from eating chocolate ice cream for a month.
we have more good streams than I think we do bad, but the ones that are dumpster fires are the top.
But we didn't
Those
expect
ones-
this to be a dumpster fire. We didn't go into this going, oh, this is going to be a total shit
No,
show at all.
I thought it was
like-
a good debate.
I think it's important though. I think it's
I like your mix.
This was a hilarious train wreck overall.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
never know when the train wrecks are gonna.
It's just
happen.
weird because we
It happens.
we talk about this stuff. Obviously we have meetings and we'll discuss what's going
Do we?
on. Occasionally, like once a year. It's obviously going to be a day thing at this point, but we had no idea going into this what that would have happened. I was under the impression this guy knew his shit. I was in the impression he's like, look, Hovind's an idiot, but you know what? There's some things that he could have done differently. And he wanted to quote, correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, but pretty much paraphrase quote, he wanted to take over where Kent fucked up, basically.
Apparently,
He just fucked it up more.
Mission fail. Mission failed.
Apparently, the only
We'll get them next time.
Somewhere, Kent Hovind is kicked back in a nice new Hawaiian T-shirt, just laughing his ass off.
He's thinking to himself, "Yes, thank you, George.
This guy makes me look good. Thank you, George."
Has anybody ever wondered why he wears those shirts? I've always wondered why. That seems to be.
I think it's charming. I will say that.
It's a style.
I think it's charming.
It's a
I
style.
mean, it fits him. It's just an interesting choice.
You know, my father liked Hawaiian shirts, so I guess
It's
maybe
charming, I think.
I have a soft spot for people in Hawaiian
It does kind of fit him, though. It really does
It
kind of
does.
fit him.
He's Dr.
Well,
Dino. I mean, he's
I like your
goofball.
guys'.
I'm not
Dr.
sure
Dino.
that all Hawaiians think that Hawaiian shirts are Hawaiian.
True.
I'm pretty sure
Fair
that's
enough. I'll give you that.
But that's a no true Hawaiian argument.
Speaking of which, I'll
No,
be going to Hawaii later next month.
Yeah,
Could get a
Rob was
Saigon.
going to Hawaii. We were supposed to have a
hereby
debate, but he
declare.
understandably backed out because he claims he's going to Hawaii. So we're pushing it back a little bit. But anyway,
Unless I debate you from Hawaii.
Rob and I will be debating here in about a month.
Saigar didn't want to come on the after show.
He's busy.
Yeah, he's busy.
Okay, so I get it that train wrecks and roadside accidents and dumpster fires are popular. Okay, but I would encourage you to also spend some time talking to people that discuss the current evidence. So, for example, I think it's any flat earth you're bringing on is going to go through the same pointless stuff. In fact, giving them a platform other than for entertainment value is not necessarily the best use of your time.
On that, we agree.
Talking about how we measure these things is, I think, a better thing. Talking about how evolution actually works. Talking about that stuff is also something that you should be equally doing and promoting. And I would encourage you to do those sorts of things. And getting Aron to talk about what evolution is, what phylogenetics is, would be really useful because he really does know that area quite well.
The first two things that we did with Aron were actually not debates. We had him on the show to do that very thing. They're old. They're within our first couple of episodes. But
I mean,
see,
I think those are examples of things.
Sure, and I agree with you. And what we're doing with the flat Earth actually is we're turning it into a little bit of a game show on the 24th. We're restructuring how we're doing flat Earth. So here's how it's going to work. Kind of like debate roulette works, but we're going to open it up to flat earthers. We're going to have somebody there to argue the real position, and the audience is going to have control over how long the flat earther lasts in the talk. You will vote. You will vote.
One man survives.
You will vote.
There's going to be a vote button.
There will be a 3-sectioned panel at the very bottom: a green, a yellow, and a red. And as the votes come in, the needle will move to the red. And once it hits the red, hold on. Once it hits the red, the person who is arguing for flat Earth will be ejected, and the people who last the longest will be entered. We're going to have 3 of these episodes, and then in July we're going to have King of the Flat Earth tournament. And the 3 people who win Flatline will be the ones that kind of carry over into that tournament.
Why do you waste your time on these balloons?
Why?
You need to name this the Flat Earther Games.
It's called Flatline.
Flatline works well. Okay.
So why
I want to play.
Here's why.
Can I play?
Here's why. Here's why we do this. Because if we were just going to do a show that just clowned on flat earthers or gave them any kind of attention, that would be one thing. Number one, the flat earth thing kind of fell in our lap because of a stream that we did. We had no idea it would catapult us into like having every flat earther contact us to come on and do this. But if we're going to do this, we always have somebody there that can refute what they're saying and show. And you can see it in every show that we've done. They do a beautiful job of refuting it. And if you're still on the fence after watching our show on whether the Earth is a globe Earth or a flat Earth, then you have no fucking brain, and that's the only way that I can sum that up. Like, we give a solid scientific layout of why the Earth is. I mean, they're there whether we like it or not. And I would.
All it takes is common sense.
But I'm not sure I fully buy that, because what I see happens is the arguments basically breaks down into a bunch of semantic games, and you don't really go that the person promoting science doesn't really have a chance to lay out their argument fully. They get caught up in some stupid thing about and you never move beyond that point.
And that happens.
Dumpster fire.
Sure, and
I'm just wondering.
But the people who are watching those, and you can tell by the comments on all the videos, that there's a clear distinction on where the facts are and where the knowledge is,
and the sticking points.
I'm just wondering, just as there are ex-young Earth creationists, are there any ex-flat earthers that have actually come out publicly?
That's a good question.
Yes, there are actually.
Yeah, there was one. Maybe we can get him on the show one of these days.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
His name was Jamal Williams.
I survived flat Earth.
He's yeah. You know what?
Actually,
that's a really good. There you go. Put it on a shirt.
Actually, there's one on Jim Panda's server too.
Is there?
So that makes two.
Well, let me tell you how happened with
Actually,
Jamal.
most of the time you can't reason someone out of a position they didn't reason themselves into.
Yes,
but let me tell you what happened with Jamal. He's still a young Earth creationist, so he still has a very long ways to go. But he was in a discussion on this channel with myself, Red's Rhetoric, and a few other people. And when it came to the celestial sphere, when it was shoved up his ass in a way, there was just no way that even he could come up with something fast enough to try to deny it.
Sounds hot to me.
He at that point decided, you know what? Okay, I don't think I can support the flat Earth stuff any longer, and he hasn't ever since, I think. But I just talked to him yesterday. He asked me my position on something or other, so maybe I can get him in here for
but there are flat earthers that are just trolls, and so you ignore those folks. There are flat earthers that are in the whole truth or conspiracy minded thing, and they just buy into that set. There are flat earthers that come from religious context, and that's kind of an interesting set. And I think there are flat earthers that are sort of fit into some other category that I haven't quite figured out yet.
Otherkins.
There are the trolls and the pose.
And then get this, guys. Get this, on the 25th of June, which is a Monday, I believe. We are having a debate between a geocentrist and a flat earther.
Oh my!
Interesting.
Yeah.
Never been done.
Tell them who the
Rooster fight.
Tell them who the geocentrist is. And see if anybody recognizes this name.
It's Antonio Subretz is the flat earther, and then Dr. Robert Sungenis.
Does that name sound familiar to anybody? Because I know who this
sounds familiar.
Sungenis.
He's famous.
Sungenis is a Catholic.
I don't recognize either of them.
He's a Catholic, yes.
He produced the movie The Principal.
And he wrote a book. Being wrong.
Put for them and George together.
So Sungenis actually debated Heroes.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Isn't he one of these sort of kind of traditional Catholics? I wouldn't call him an Orthodox Catholic,
he's
but
a traditional. No, he's a little bit of a
Roman Catholic defending, type of thing.
No, he's an offshoot of a very peculiar form of Catholicism that mainstream Catholics they don't want to associate with his theology. Yeah,
I still want to see a flat earther explain to me how navigation works.
But my question was,
I want to see what they think of GPS. I've never heard anyone actually describe how does that work.
Oh my God!
They claim they from what I've heard, ionic refraction off of the ionosphere.
Listen to this.
No, I'm serious.
That's
what they've told me.
From Non-Sex Show tonight. Sygart is a stand-up guy. We don't deserve him. You can grow gills by holding your head underwater long enough, and Kent Hovind has been unseated as the most unreasonable creationist.
Yep.
That's about it.
Okay, this may be a rhetorical question, but do any of you think George learned something after this?
No. When's the last time George learned anything? That's the problem.
Probably when he was 5 in Sunday school.
He's probably praying. He's probably praying right now for our souls. But I guess I'd say if you're talking about sort of things like geocentrism or flat Earth or other crazy stuff, I would much rather focus on what we do know. For example, Steve, you asked me to go to see if I can get someone from a group to speak on speak against the geocentric model and talk about how they do the factoring of things like the cosmic background. And I couldn't get anyone who would say that'd be a waste of my time.
We found somebody that said the exact same thing. She was interested, and then she said, "Well, what's it about?" And I explained to her in detail, and she's like, "Yeah, that I would waste my time. I don't have an interest."
Yeah,
and I get that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I totally understand that.
So I'd be better off just So I was saying, would you come on without a flat Earth or geocentrist to talk about your research? Oh yeah, but not to waste their time with. Yeah.
That would actually be really.
We have to have both, though. We have to have a.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying that's what I encountered.
Hey, I gotta tell you, because I looked in that shit years ago, because I actually had talked to Rick Delano before, and I actually talked to Mark Wyatt. Both of them had actually worked on that movie when The Principle came out. This was long ago when I first started my YouTube channel. That's one of the things that actually got me into YouTube was this particular subject, and I gotta remember. I was surprised how much I actually remembered. I haven't looked at a lot of that shit in a very long time, and I actually felt that I could hold my own with that guy. I was having fun.
I wanted Landon to come on for the volcanoes.
Koala ballistic theory? No, or the Hawaiian volcano.
Actually, you know what we really want to do is we want to talk about what is it, Steve? Simulation theory.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun, but it's gonna be. We
got to find somebody first.
I know it's a difficult. It's kind of a way to resolve the Fermi paradox, and it's something that not a lot of people really look into. So I don't know who we're going to get for that.
Yeah. There are again discussion about the Fermi paradox and how to resolve it or not resolve it is an interesting thing. But you said something about volcanoes. I did encounter somebody who said that the Hawaiian volcanic eruption is just a plot, right? And
what?
It's but
sorry, what?
But, yes,
it's one of the red flag events.
Where's this person at?
Volcanoes are false
hiding him.
Volcanoes are a false flag. That's a new one.
That is a
Yeah, it's because they were saying
show right there.
I think they were doing it from the climate. Are
you serious?
That's still great.
But
yes, I was pretty impressed by encountering something like that. But
volcanoes have been going off in Hawaii for as long. There's been a new island within the last what? Has it been 50 years or something like that? There's been a new island that's formed because of volcanic eruption.
Well, I started about 150,000 years ago. But
there's a guy that thinks that hell is creating climate change because it's growing from the center of the earth.
And he is coming on the show.
Yes, that's not really that far from somebody's. They're going to be thinking volcanoes are the same thing too. I mean, the sulfur smell. Where do you think that thing came from? Hell.
That's all. The Hawaiian volcano is actually pretty low in sulfur, which is ironic.
Steve, tell everyone. Get ready, guys. And if it kills me, we're getting these people on the show. Steve, would you please inform everyone of Soul Phone?
Okay, so by the way, Brack, welcome, buddy. You finally got in.
You're not ready.
Okay, so what Soul Phone is, I did a little research on this. Soul Phone is a limited liability corporation that's dedicated to using quantum interferometry, it appears, to try to communicate with your dead people and to help you facilitate
it's not a joke.
Yeah, no, it's not a joke. It's a real thing. I mean, obviously, I think it's complete quackery. Don't get me wrong. So when I say it's not a joke, I mean that it's a real thing that people are trying to do. But it's like, holy fuck, this is a real business trying to do this. They call cell phone, so you can dial your dead people, dead relatives.
Oh my god, that's amazing!
Can I text my soul phone? Can I text a soul phone? Can I text my con? Fucking really? Long distance, really.
It's just, it's a high. It's basically a high tech Long Island medium scam to me.
Really?
I wouldn't have guessed.
You can't really.
Doorknob head says the perfect line for that. Can you hear me now?
Oh, Christ. Can you hear me now?
I'm not getting a signal. I'm dead, you asshole.
I only got one bow down here, you asshole.
Can you just imagine them up there in heaven be like, the signal's really bad up here.
Yeah, the call went dead.
Signal's so bad down in hell. I mean, there's all this interference all in the way. God damn it.
Okay, I'm almost to the point where I'm tired of I'm physically tired of streaming now, so I'm probably gonna.
I'm with you, Kyle.
Yeah, it just won't wait too much longer. But thanks for dropping in. Let me get Bracken here real quick. He's been trying to get in, so
I'm going to take a shower and wash off this despair.
Two.
Good night, everyone.
You need two.
Good night, Kyle.
Good night, Kyle.
Good night.
Good night, Kyle.
Good night, everyone.
You know, I think, you know what, we should make this a complete dumpster fire. Maybe we should get Mr. Intelligent Design in here because I know Red.
Go for it. Go for it. 300% chance.
Bring him in. Oh yes.
Because Mr.
I tell you what.
Yes,
Let me get Brack
please.
real quick. If Mr. Intelligent Design, because he got moved out, and Rags, I'll give you the link too. If Mr. ID wants to come in for this one time only, what the fucker, because this has been one of those days, I'm okay with it.
He has been claiming that I've refused to debate him, even though I wasted several hours of my life talking to him.
Just totally wasted. Yeah.
It's
glorious.
This man could be solving like the PNP problem. This man could be like creating the most wondrous computer things in the world because he's a freaking genius, and basically Edgar's wasting his time with the definition of intelligence.
Okay.
Problem.
And speaking of the things that Landon can be doing, Landon, can you please further explain these Vulcanoid asteroids? Because I'm really curious about that.
Okay, so we don't. First of all, we don't know. A Vulcanoid asteroid is an asteroid whose semi-meter axis is less than that of Mercury. Roughly speaking, what that means is it's an asteroid that orbits inside Mercury's orbit. Right? The average distance, the semi-meter axis is the average distance. So it's basically an asteroid that's closer to the sun than Mercury is. What way back in the mid 1800s, when they started observing that the planet Mercury was not precisely following the Newtonian mechanics, Leverrier, who found Neptune by seeing changes in Uranus as orbit, said, well, I'll just find the planet inside Mercury's orbit that's causing Mercury's orbit to shift. And there was a whole naming, to avoid the naming controversy, he said, I'm going to tell you where the planet is mathematically, and you're going to call that planet Vulcan. and so there was this long search. We know now that Vulcan doesn't exist. We know now from relativity and Eddington's experiments, things like that Vulcan doesn't exist. We've also done observational stuff with SOHO and essentially eliminated anything that is larger than about 60 kilometers.
Are you calling Spock a liar?
So the planet Vulcan doesn't exist, but the zone that. Then, by the way, the first time I gave a talk on this whole search for Vulcan asteroids was at the Leonard Nimoy Science Center at Griffith Park in Los Angeles. You know about Griffith Observatory there. Nimoy actually gave money for a really nice astronomy hall there at the Griffith Observatory, but be that as it may. So we know now that you can't have a finite number of point masses to cause Mercury's orbit to precess, and that it's due to relativity. But the zone that they're talking about is still called the Vulcanoid zone. So if we found asteroids orbiting in that zone, it would be like where the next planet could be if it existed, a next sort of stable orbital zone. Those asteroids would be called Vulcanoid asteroids. And the work that I've done on imaging during solar eclipses has pushed the upper bound down to around 4 kilometers. That is anything we've searched down to objects as small as 4 kilometers. That still is a big object. There still could be things between about 50 meters, which would be too small that your sun would push it out of that zone, 50 meters and 4 kilometers. There still is a range there. We don't know if they exist or not. So part of the goal of Vulcanoid searches is either find them if they exist or not find them if they don't exist. And that not find them, there's been a number of people that in the in very early 1900s, people that were scoffing at relativity were going and claiming to have found Vulcan or found there. So we don't want to find something that doesn't exist. We want to be sure that we either eliminate the source, but it's extremely difficult observations because the sun is extraordinarily bright.
Things that don't exist.
Yes, that's one of the things. If they may not exist, and we don't want to discover something.
Let me ask you this, Landon. Let me ask you this, Landon. Just you know it all. What planet is this? What planet is this? Ready? Gore. Gore is a planet in our solar system, supposedly. Sort of. It's a fictional universe. Which fictional universe is Gore in? By John Norman. He wrote these, the author.
Oh, okay.
You never read the Gore series?
I'm sorry, I did not. I apologize.
Gore was.
I'd be sorry too. Not knowing about Gore.
You read Gore series? There's like 40 or 50 of them. It's a huge amount. The slave traders are Gore.
I know it's Gore Magala.
It was a hypersexualized society. They lived on a planet called Gore that was on the opposite side of the sun, so it was constantly on the other side.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I know what you're talking.
Great.
I thought me hypersexualized.
Very hypersexualized. Yes.
Look! While you were all reading books, Landon was in Africa peeing on the big cats. Come on.
He was
living a real life.
Landon should do. Who's this guy? I've been watching this guy named Coyote who he does a channel called Brave Wilderness. You guys watch any of that shit?
Oh yeah.
And I think maybe a little bit of it is a little over the top, but he doesn't really get stung. I mean, the fucker does actually get stung by shit. I think Landon should do that kind of stuff when he goes to like Africa. And instead of being like going, weren't
you just telling me the other day, Steve?
My hand's swelling up pretty good right now. I'm going into anaphylactic shock. This is fascinating.
No, Landon should do a whole series just where he goes around Africa confronting the biggest beast, like walks up to a rhino, it starts a charge, he just pisses in it, it runs away.
Pissing on rhinos. There you go.
I don't think
see Dancing with Wolves. No, this is pissing on rhinos.
I mean,
we will draw the line at Zulu tribes, and we won't be doing that. That'd be going a bit too.
I've actually touched rhinos in the wild. You
cool.
can actually approach them.
Did you
stand around them?
A tourist today, there's video on ABC News. Some tourist in Africa, he's in a van, right? And there's a line, and it's got its butt right up next to the car he's in. He's opened the window up and gone, scratchy scratch on the lion's back. The lion's just turned around and gone, raw, and fucking the dude's gone, ah! This idiot opened a window up and went, hello, kitty, and it's a fucking lion. And it turns, he's so lucky the lion just didn't turn around and swat him. It would have just had him for dinner. It's like, what the fuck were you thinking, mate?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that. Hey, Brack, are you working? Your mic working now? Brack, sort of?
Brack?
Nope.
Brack?
Nope.
You want to drop
I thought I heard him a minute ago.
Yeah,
I thought I heard him clap.
Fapping or something.
Yeah,
clapping, fapping, whatever.
You want?
It was an interesting. Yeah.
So can you hear me?
Come out and play.
I think I just heard him.
How do you guys know what the hell that's from?
Can you guys hear me?
I watched movies by Stephen King.
No, that wasn't Stephen King that wrote that, was it?
No.
Can you guys hear me?
That's from yes, we can hear you.
Oh wow. Awesome. For some reason when I'm talking, like my picture's not popping up when like how other people speak.
Your own picture pops up.
Your own picture doesn't.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie The Warriors? It came out back in the 70s, the late 70s. It's just bizarrely fucking good. It's just basically this group of kids trying to get through the like gangs of, I think it was New York, trying to go home, and it's long as fuck, but it was just well done.
Someone in a Discord I was in today posted a Quigley Down Under meme.
Jesus.
Oh, that's
No, right? Talk out of left field. You don't see many of those any.
Good God.
Like here, here's a meme from Quigley Down Under.
In the 90s, the 80s, late 90s, or it had to be late 80s, early 90s or something. It was Selleck, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, Tom Selleck.
And Snape.
Back when life made sense.
I'll throw you all a curveball and get some early Paul Hogan.
Well, Paul Hogan is like your cultural icon, right?
Not really, not anymore. But you should see one of his old shows, the Paul Hogan Show. It had the most politically incorrect shit. There was a skit where it was a divorce scene, and at the end of it, he punches the bride in the face. It's unbelievable. He had another character called Leo Wanker Stuntman, There's a reason this has all been put on ice and hidden away, because if it came out now, Paul Hogan, no one would ever watch Crocodile Dundee again if they were an SJW. They would lose their shit. If they saw this skit, they'd go, he condones women fucking beating. Oh my God, Paul Hogan's a monster.
Everybody stop what they're doing for a second. Everybody say hi to Brandy Lynn in the live chat.
Hello.
Hi, Brandy.
Hi.
What's up?
Hi.
Who's Brandy?
She's from Senecus's channel. It's a gamer channel that I kind of go over and check them out every so often.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. In fact, they should. You know what's funny, Rags? No offense, they didn't know who the fuck you were, and I was actually like, really?
Well,
I was like,
listen,
really? Come
most
on.
people statistically don't know who I am, so it's okay.
Yeah, well, most people in the world don't give a shit who you are. But yeah, but they're gamers, and they didn't know who you were, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But Brandy's cool.
Gamers over there playing the games.
They suck at these games, but they're cool. No, they're
Brandy.
Yeah, I was thrilled when you and Rags, kind of met.
When we made love till dawn in the moonlight.
Love. Yes. Yeah, but I heard Rags is kind of getting a thing.
And the plains of gore.
I feel like I was your first. I ran into Rags on the
You were not my first.
And I was his first. Everybody else before me doesn't matter. It wasn't true. It was meant to be. Oh well. Feels like he's moving on.
So you claim first.
Hey, one game young rappers won't like?
What's that?
Far Cry Primal, because it's set 4,000 years before they think the world was created.
They think that these games are real. So okay.
You play as Jesus fighting the dinosaurs and the woolly mammoths.
Let's do it. That's got to be a
Games
game.
can't be. You can either kill them or you can bless them. You can turn them into
dinosaurs.
handsome, obedient boys, scaly boys.
When dinosaurs attack.
Games can't be. I'd be okay real because they use triangles to compute.
I think I gave Edgar the link, but we're full.
Shh, don't say that.
Don't let him I guess I'll leave.
Keep that on the demo, so he just sits here trying to get in.
Don't leave that. He hasn't even gotten into that.
That was Edgar that messaged me. It said Edgar, so.
Steve.
Yeah. Thanks, Wine Engine.
Steve.
Yeah.
The show you did yesterday, where you were going through with Matt Powell. I loved your step-by-step refuting of exactly what he said, and you said that you've sent these corrections to him, and after 20-some years, they've never been corrected. I just like to point out, I don't think that he has any intentions in correcting them, and I don't think he cares whether it's technically correct or not, because most of the people that are going to read his pamphlet aren't going to go into the kind of depth that you went into, and all he has to do is get that idea out there, and he'll convince enough people based off of the pseudo legitimacy that it appears to have, that it doesn't matter whether it was later disproved, because he's already seeded that as a foundation for so many different people reading it, that it'll be very difficult, if not impossible, to try and dissuade those people from believing it, even though it's
you're exactly
provably
right.
false.
You're totally right. I'm convinced he doesn't give a shit. He keeps on saying, well, I want to make sure my presentations are correct. No, he hasn't fixed it on his DVDs.
No, I don't believe that.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I don't. No, I don't. I believe he's doing it on purpose. I think he did it on purpose.
Well, I mean, are there any corrections to make?
Fraud.
Are there any corrections to make?
Yeah.
About Hovend?
Well, no, I'm not talking with Hovend. No, I'm not talking Hovend. There are plenty of corrections.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I a couple years back, I had shown Kent in a hangout a couple of his claims, why they were wrong based on the citations and what the citation claimed. And he said, if you mail me this stuff, I want my presentations to be right, I'll fix it. And I wasn't the only one that brought it to his attention. Other people brought it up too. I think I just did it more directly to him. And I did email everything to him. And of course, he's been on my channel multiple times. I mean, like a dozen or so. And no, he's never fixed it. Absolutely never fixed it. So
no, he knows that they're incorrect, but he doesn't care. I mean, he's going to purposely keep putting it out there just the way that it is, because he doesn't care whether it's correct or not. He knows it will convince enough people and that even if somebody publicly goes just like you did and goes through every little line item and shows exactly the research paper, he doesn't care because they've already set a belief in their mind, and now trying to dissuade them from that belief is going to be nearly impossible unless they're diligent in wanting to learn their
very, very, very good point you've raised.
Yeah,
excellent point.
More, Sandrine. But by the way, you're in the presence.
I agree even more.
I just want you guys to know you are literally in the hangout with one of the smartest people on the planet. And
hello, hi everybody.
I'm
Rags. I've got a
Yeah, I'm not talking about you, Rags. I'm not talking about even Landon. I'm talking about Edgar.
What are you talking about? Rags is one of the leading gameologists on the fucking planet, man. Come on.
Yes, and he's got his icon has got the proper glasses with the digital bits on the side.
I want to speak to Edgar. Edgar's
I'm glad you like the pornography people draw me.
Oh, right.
It's good to know.
Edgar, talk to me, Edgar.
Hi, Steve. Good afternoon. Hey.
So
how are you?
I'm just going to ask you a couple quick questions. I'm going to turn over to Red Eye because Red Eye's been dying to talk to you, and so has Landon. But before I do, I just got to clarify: is there any person on the planet that is smarter than you at the moment right now in this dispensation?
No.
Okay. So you're the
I'm
top
only
dog.
one.
Okay, not a one. Okay.
Yes.
I want to make sure that you're still number one because
I'm not number one.
And when you say that you're the smartest person on the planet, you mean that you know more about biology, cosmology, chemistry, physics than anybody else, right? And math, right?
Well, I don't know about math because it depends on the math. But especially in biology, physics, cosmology, or quantum mechanics.
Awesome.
Philosophy. And religion, business, everything. If you are going to use intelligence on that, if you are going to use intelligence in all those topics, I think I'm smart.
Okay. You know what? Hey, I got an even better idea. Red, if you don't mind, can Rags talk to him?
Oh, Rags. Enjoy, mate.
Rags,
my gift to you, Rags.
Doggy treat.
Rags is never going to talk to me again after today.
Rags is never coming back.
I think we've been through. We don't know each other that much, but we have been through a lot together. Really, in computer time, we've known each other for years. In computer time,
P versus NP. You haven't met Edgar before, have you?
Edgar? No. Unless you're referring to the evil butler from Aristocats, then no, we have not. We have not spoken yet.
No. What was it? Wait, was that the movie? No, what movie where they had like the jokes, the
okay, you're gonna have to narrow it down a little bit more than that.
The movie where the whole movie was set upon one joke that was the worst fucking stupid joke of all time, and they just trying to one up each other.
Ghostbusters. The humor was based around what?
No, it was the Aristocrats. What? No, Aristocrats.
No. Aristocrats?
Yeah, it was Aristocrats, wasn't it?
I don't know. I never saw Aristocrats.
I keep forgetting you're the game guy, not the movie guy.
Aristocats, though. Now we can talk. We can talk about Aristocats.
No, it was called. It was called The Aristocrats. It was a movie about the dirtiest joke of all time being in different types of incarnations, and it was dumber than fuck. It wasn't funny. Sorry, it just wasn't. Anyways, Mr. Intelligent Design, meet Rags. He wants to talk to you and learn from you.
I've been told I want to talk to you, so I want to know what your position is on wearing Crocs with socks.
Oh God!
I'll mark that down as you're a moderate on the subject. Fair enough. You're agnostic on that. What's your thing? What's your thing? What's your claim to fame, Edgar? What is it that you do?
Well, okay. To make it short, okay, because our science actually is begging for us to have a classification or differentiation for all X, for all matters in a whole existence. In other words, for example, I will give you an example in biology: cell, C-E-L-L. So when our science today is assuming and concluding that cell is not designed intelligently.
I wonder why would it come to that conclusion? I wonder.
Because we don't know intelligence.
Because what?
Because our science today has no clue on the topic of intelligence.
We don't.
Therefore, we don't have any clue.
Are you intelligent?
So once you, as a person, yes. But I use
How have you reached that
instinct
conclusion?
because I know what is intelligence is all about. I know the
Okay,
definition
I
and the
know
explanation.
because
Okay.
I know because I know doesn't convince me as an outsider looking into all this smartness going around. Silly dumb me.
No,
doesn't know.
What I'm trying to say is that before I use the word intelligence, I know the definition and explanation.
What is
But
the definition of intelligence?
Yeah, this one is quite too long, so I think Steve doesn't want me to talk about that. But since you asked me my position,
go nuts, man. No, go nuts. You know what?
Go
nuts.
for it. I am an open book
that
can be ejaculated upon with knowledge.
Yeah, my position actually
Such a
is
colorful way to put that.
No, it's just white.
Yeah, my position. Yeah, my position is actually.
So now you're racist.
My position,
Damn you!
It's okay to be white.
I repeat, my position in science, especially in biology, for example,
Okay.
is that cell is
Can you say that again?
intelligent
I'm
design.
sorry, I didn't hear you. Your pussy's what?
Intelligent.
No, come on, let him speak. Let him speak.
No, I'm serious.
He was going to tell us about what intelligence was. So
tell us about the snooze-ons, Edgar.
Okay, so
but tell us about intelligence.
Rag, you are asking me, maybe some of you are asking me to Aron. I told him that my position is that I believe that the cell is intelligent design because I know the definition, the explanation based on my experiment, the topic, the meaning of intelligence.
Okay, so I would ask. Well, before you go any further, let's take this one step at a time. So, your experiments have determined that cells were created by an intelligent designer. What experiment is this exactly? It sounds fascinating.
No,
he dropped an egg.
He dropped an egg.
You dropped an egg.
Dropped a motherfucking egg.
Tell you what, before you go on about your cloaca or whatever, I need to use the loo because I have been drinking a great deal of water. So
You're gonna need a lot
myself
more.
out.
Yeah.
Go
get alcohol.
Right back.
Yeah.
Get alcohol.
Yeah.
And prescription drugs. Bring the medicine cabinet too. You're going to
Very well
I
endowed,
have been
so it doesn't have to travel.
drinking Lon Twin's dessert wine from Lodi.
Yeah, just you know what? Go to the medicine cabinet, just start pouring shit in your hand, and just eat like it.
Screw you all! I'm in my truck. Just screw you all! I'm in my truck. I don't get to drink.
That. I'm kidding.
I mean, this is how much I've drunk. Just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit.
What you got to do is get all the pills.
I can't.
Get all the
I don't get to drink anything. Damn you!
Neither do
Get all
I.
the pills from your drug cabinet and pour them into a bowl. Just mix them up and then start shoveling them into your mouth randomly while sipping on your drink.
Like candy.
Have some of those detergent pods. I've heard.
Why the mouth? I mean, aren't there other orifices you can?
The detergent pods. I've heard those are really good.
Yeah.
Hey, Edgar, have you ever tried a Tide Pod out of curiosity?
Hey, quick question. What happens when you put your pills underneath your eyelids? Does that work? Start shoving pills under your eyelids.
Oh God.
I don't get you guys. I'm so sorry. You're too funny.
We know. We appreciate it.
Serious question, Edgar. How's your guitar going, mate? Edgar plays guitar. Has a lovely Yamaha guitar, I do believe. I forget the model number, but he can play. Edgar can play the guitar quite well. I was astonished.
Hashtag Dank Hung Sheeb has returned.
All right, let's get back into it. What's the stink on, Edgar?
So your experiment that you have conducted to determine whether or not a cell was intelligently designed. Tell me about this experiment.
Well, I did not use cell as for my experiment. I used an egg.
All right.
Yeah, I use. Okay. I have an assignment to myself that I'm going to nail down. I'm going to nail down intelligence, if intelligence is part of reality or not. Because we have 70 definition of intelligence today.
Wow, sounds like we've really got this.
We don't know which one is the correct definition of intelligence. So I made an experiment.
Well, I would say that multiple definitions can be correct at the same time. Look at SET, after all. That's got like 17 trillion definitions.
But let him describe his experiment. His experiment.
Tell me about
that's important.
And I'll go with the whole egg cell thing. It's like I'll go with that. All right.
Oh no! Let him explain this. It's much more complicated than you think.
Okay.
Yeah,
lay it on me. I'm an empty vessel for which.
You don't think of like egg as like a cell. He drops eggs through tissue paper.
All right, let's.
Go ahead.
All right, tell me about it.
Oh, this one. Oh, this one. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, explain your experiment there, Edgar.
Well, actually, my test is to test not the strength of the tissue paper or not the strength of an egg, but I would like to test a principle. Principle, the principle that we are what we're calling intelligence, because intelligence is an intangible thing, an intangible matter, intangible are a principle. So
right.
the best way, this is the reason why I am smart, because I can test a principle.
So before I ask about how the tissue paper and the egg relates back to all of this, that will be its own fun tangent. Goodness, where to even begin? So intelligence is. So you have determined that you are intelligent. Have you determined that anything else is intelligent? Have you put other people's intelligence to the same rigorous tasks that you have put yourself through?
Did we lose Edgar?
He's muted.
I'm certain that someone like Edgar, if he is lost, is surely only lost in thought.
He's intelligent enough to learn how to unmute. Let me see if I can kind of give him his experiment, because I know Edgar, so people in the live chat are asking for us. While he's trying to figure out how to unmute, Louis' experiment is like this. He'll start off with he has an apparatus. He actually has a built-in machine. And by the way, people in the live chat that know about this, correct me if I get any of this wrong, because you guys are well familiar with this experiment. The famous.
Oh, I didn't know that this was a famous.
He's got 6 books on this.
You've got a specialist in his team.
He is an author.
I read the book.
My goodness.
Published author. He sold one copy, and by
an extensive resume.
The person who bought that copy is in this very fucking hangout.
Yeah. So he actually has some. He actually has a mechanism to drop these things. Oh, really?
Does the person who bought that book want to admit it? I mean,
hell yeah! I did. I took one for the fucking team, man.
There is nothing to be ashamed of by financially supporting our fellow searchers of knowledge and truth in the scientific.
Yeah, and Red Eye not only bought the books, but he read one of them. He actually read it.
What else would you buy it?
Read one of the books.
Can you really call it reading? I mean, if it's not really, something that's coherent or
this was not even
really?
close to reading. No, this was a new level of. It was like trying to decipher an alien language. It was frightening. It's like I still get nosebleeds.
Okay, they want me to explain this experiment.
Yeah,
okay,
so explain the experiment, please.
Okay, so what he did was he built this machine where you put a tissue paper on the bottom of the machine and near the bottom, not quite on the bottom, but near the bottom. And then he had an egg at the top, and he had a little thing where he could drop the egg. So the egg would fall down, go through the tissue paper, and then go splat, right? Okay.
Right. It does require a machine to do that, yes.
Yeah, well, yeah. He had a secretary or assistant. He had an assistant helping with this. Literally.
See.
Well, someone has to either was the assistant was the machine that held the tissue paper.
I think it was like to make sure everybody stood back. Like don't crowd the machine.
Well, I wouldn't want to get egg on me. I wouldn't want to get egg on me. And machines do get performance anxiety.
Okay, so Steve, continue. So
what would happen was he would put another tissue paper over the first tissue paper, and he would drop it.
So two.
So now two.
Mm-hmm. And eventually, you can see the iterations that he would get to a point where the egg no longer fell through, right?
So I see what he's doing is he's using the bundle of sticks strategy. I forget what it's called, but he's basically using that strategy.
Yeah. Well, you have one stick, and then you have multiple sticks, and then you get stronger and stronger. Right? Exactly.
All right. The faggot principle. Yes.
So it's done.
Yeah, that is true.
Okay,
that's not inaccurate.
Faggot principle, because faggot is
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Unless you're in England, and then it's a cigarette.
Yeah. And you also have to understand in his universe, there are probabilities that exceed 100%.
Wow.
I'm sorry. There are supernatural probabilities that go beyond the natural.
I see.
Up to 300. Their probability is up to 300%.
So so not only is something guaranteed to happen, it's guaranteed plus to happen
because of supernatural reasons.
Isn't it like one of them is like a natural probability, like a
yeah,
rock?
he accepts like a Kolmogorov's, regular probability stuff, right?
No one knows Komarov's Borgeshmorgas. No one knows that shit. Explain it to the people. Tell the premiums about Rimsey.
I say certain words just to keep Landon excited and entertained. Okay? So it's for nobody else's benefit. Like the fucking hangout we had on the Non-Sequitur show. That show when I mentioned Tarski paradox, 3 people fucking got it, but Landon did. It's good. That's it. That's all I'm going for. The fuck you, rest of you. If Landon's happy, I'm happy.
Tarski now.
So yes, he accepts the Kolmogorov, probability shit. But so what happens is this: when he reaches a certain level where the egg no longer falls to the ground and drops and breaks.
Okay, all right.
At that point, he has demonstrated
all right. So after the bounty has been filled, yeah.
Yeah. At that point, intelligence has become...
That's a paper towel joke, everybody. That's a paper towel joke right there. I'm just saying proceed, but I'm not going to let it.
Hang on.
This is critical. There's a formula for this because the formula, and I'm probably going to butcher this. Maybe Red's
300% fag joke.
I think it's problem solution is the first one, meaning that you have a problem.
Okay.
You introduce a way to solve the problem, and then you get the solution. And therefore, when the egg no longer fell, he demonstrated the true meaning of the word intelligence, because now intelligence has form.
Okay, so he defines intelligence as a solution to any hypothetical problem.
Not a hypothetical problem. I think a real problem.
Any problem. I guess he could just come up with
any
experiment. I'm sorry.
I'm going to go back a bit.
I have been corrected by the expert on Edgar. Abad Eulogy in my live feed. It is problem solution. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. And we need to go back to the experiment too, because we've missed a certain part. Now, on the first part, Edgar will put one layer of tissue paper. It will drop through, and the egg will break through. That's a problem. So that's not the solution. So he will add another layer of tissue paper, and he will continue this experiment until he has enough tissue paper to prevent the egg from falling through and breaking. That is
what's solution. You know what's interesting is that he could start with a lot of tissue paper and save himself a lot of broken eggs.
We had suggested that at one time. That seemed it seemed to be the reasonable approach to take.
And you can start with a goose egg, which is actually really hard to break.
Emu eggs. I've actually got. I want to make an announcement, Edgar. I'm taking over new intelligent design with emu eggs, and the emu overlords have given me the green light. So
yeah,
I'm sorry, but we're coming for you. We're going to perform your experiments with emu eggs, and we're going to do it from a plane, and we're going to annihilate all of your findings. Your books are going to become histories.
I'm curious.
But when intelligence gets to the point beyond logic, right? You can get to probabilities of 300%.
Oh, we crossed that line a long time ago.
We go to the casino, Landon.
How?
That's what we do. Casino.
Once we get to the point beyond logic plus, 300% logic.
Well, I don't mind with 300. You can have 300%. I don't mind that, but when it says
I hope now
3. That makes no sense.
But you need Mr. Intelligent Design to explain what he means by a 300% probability.
I'm also curious if
I think he's got a category error there. The 300% probability seems to be weird to me.
So if intelligence is intelligence has basically been quantified as X number of paper towel rolls. So, does that mean
we all just gotta go buy more paper towels?
Well, I'm curious. Depending on the egg used and the weight of that egg, does an emo egg require emu, not an emo egg? They don't get weight.
Emo egg.
When an emu egg, regardless of its personality, falls, right? Does it mean it takes more intelligence to stop it?
Yeah.
Than a chicken egg, or dare I say it, I don't even know what's a smaller
hummingbird.
A hummingbird egg, one might say. Like you could be dumb as fuck and stop a hummingbird egg.
Yeah, but Rags, imagine a more intelligent process is to go into microgravity, like on the International Space Station, and put the egg inside a thing, and you don't need any tissue paper at all.
Landon, we have skipped like 17 steps here.
Yeah.
No. So I'm not even. Remember, this all started off with me wondering how we got from how do you determine a cell is intelligent to fucking dropping
throwing eggs throwing eggs
chicken ovums through bounty.
You haven't heard nothing yet, Rags. Wait till we hit wait
we
till
have
we
already made a
squeeze-ons.
leap.
Yes,
We've
yes,
already made a leap.
because you know what causes gravity.
I've been told that it's density.
No,
does the toilet paper cause the gravity?
No.
Well, I'm not going to rule anything out at this point.
Apparently, it's light pressure.
What do you mean? Apparently,
light
Landon?
pressure. Ooh, that's
Light
a new one. I haven't heard that one.
Photons push us down onto the planet's surface, man. Also known as a squeeze-on, man. Come on,
a squeeze-on.
It's a squeeze-on.
Let me explain this to you, Rex, because clearly you don't know Einstein, man. You don't.
I don't. I'm but a humble doggo who is not well versed in Einsteinian fill in the blank.
Well, it's actually reformed. It's reformed Einsteinium because this is Edgar's smarter than Einstein, so this is reformed general relativity. Gravity is not a force that pulls things together. Gravity pushes you down.
I see.
Yeah.
What is down?
Yeah.
So
down, I guess down the force that gravity pushes you.
Down is whatever direction gravity tells us it is. And who are we to question gravity, really?
Is that where the squeeze-ons come on?
I'll give you a squeeze on.
I don't know.
What's the tip?
No, I don't know you. So if we had
do squeeze-ons get social justice warriors upset?
Yes, squeezing implies mass, and mass implies fat shaming.
Did the particle? I don't know any of these people. I do not condone any of this on my channel. Just FYI, don't tell me to be bullshit on this because I don't have any control.
This is the real fucking dumpster fire.
All right, and now
it's one thing when Rags pulls this on Discord, but yeah.
All right, we got to hit the snooze-ons now. Now a snooze-on is a different sort of thing. It's like a squeeze-on. A snooze-on.
Yes, it's serious. First serious.
Well, I remember there was that movie that came out.
What happens?
There was that. What was it? It was the movie where the Karate Kid, right? I know we have wax-ons, and there's also wax-offs. So it makes sense that there are snooze-ons as well.
Absolutely. You're onto something here.
I see. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Explain snooze-ons.
Yeah.
All right. Snooze-ons. Here's what happens. Say you have a total absence of light. Right. What happens then is the photon then goes, and goes to sleep, and it deactivates, non-active.
Okay.
It's a snooze on at that point, right? Mm-hmm. But I've pointed this out to Edgar, and he's got to work this out yet. We've got a problem. You see, I've been in this place where there was a total absence of light. It's called Jenolan Caves. It's inside a mountain, and they turned off all the fucking lights. So the snooze-ons all happened. So what should have happened is I should have floated off into the air up near the stalactites. And
wait. What do the snooze-ons have to do with you floating? You haven't drawn that connection for me.
A snooze-on is what happens to a squeeze-on when it's in the dark. It goes to sleep, so gravity goes away.
Because otherwise, at night, you float away.
So light is what pushes us down.
Darkness isn't an absence of light. It's an excess of snooze-ons.
No,
I can get behind that. I can get behind that like a spicy trap.
Hold on. But so how do the photons exist when there's no light? I mean, by definition,
that's what they go to sleep and become a snooze on.
So light is what pushes.
So why are they going to sleep?
You're exactly right.
You have conceived of what's called a dark
They can't exist. They become snooze on. So you're exactly right.
No, there actually is something called a dark.
I'm here.
There is something called a dark photon, which is a photon that has all the same properties of a photon, but it I guess it doesn't light up. I don't know how. I don't know. I barely remember them talking about in the standard model the dark photon, but it's something for you for figuring out when you're using Einstein's field equation or matrix.
So what you're saying is that through all of this, we have stumbled across a tiny sliver of what might be considered truthful.
Maybe I would have to defer to Landon on that. Landon, where do you remember that?
They say a million monkeys.
There's a dark photon, like how we have antimatter to balance out matter. Because I know
this discussion we are having is
gauge theory, and I suck at gauge theory. I've had this conversation with Landon before. I even told him, dude, we need to have a hang on gauge theory because you need to explain. Sure. It's very difficult, and I don't understand symmetry breaking very well, especially when it comes to like things like CP Barry.
Well, I wouldn't worry about it, Steve. Kurt Cobain sucked at gauge theory too.
And I've also
no, he was actually good at 18 gauge.
I've got a new little bit of science for Edgar too. I've come up with one called a snake on. It's what happens to a squeeze on when it's had everything squeezed out of it. Right at the last moment, you hear this little sound, and then it's like, that smells like rotten eggs. Right, and I hypothesize, is that how rotten eggs? That's how dark matter's created when a squeeze on.
I think
the
we need
shit
to go
squeezed
back.
out of
We
it
need to hit
till
the
there's nothing
brakes
left.
and
Well,
we need to
skunks
go
and
into reverse a bit.
emit stink-ons.
A flaton.
Okay.
A farton.
Or a flatulon.
So
a flatulon. There we go. Flatulon.
Our friend.
Hello,
Edgar
this is me. I'm back.
Edgar has
Sorry, I'm
returned.
back. Okay.
And I have many questions.
Hello.
You're trying to use your.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry
You have
because
nothing to
my
be
computer. I'm sorry because my computer, one of my computers is down, so I used my another computer.
It
Goddamn
happens.
Russians.
It happens to the
That's
best
fine.
of us.
Yep.
And
Okay.
yeah.
So you're talking about a squeeze-on. Okay. Actually, that is not my idea. It was explained by Michio Kaku when he talked about Einstein, and in his documentary, he said that space is the one who is pushing any object. He said that space is pushing a massive mass. Do you understand me? The
Like
reason why we have
a mass.
yeah, like
mass, yes.
no. I mean, the reason why we have a gravity because we have a mass in a space. Okay.
All right.
So we don't have any gravitational pull. This was invented by Newton because he doesn't know about gravity.
He didn't. Newton was
So-
an idiot. Yes, Newton sucked.
No,
he
no.
didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Well,
Thought he could invent some new
Only
technology.
invented calculus when he was like 20.
So you're saying I'm gonna.
What a dink.
Well, I have so many
Newton said that.
questions. But go ahead.
Yeah, Newton said that gravity is a pulling force. Well, for example, the sun and the earth pull each other. But when Einstein had seen a gravity in a different way, now this is how we explain science. Gravity is not a pulling force, but gravity is a pushing force because gravity is a part of space. You see, so
I know
so
not at all. But
what about gravity waves?
So
yeah,
you're
no,
not.
wait, I can answer the gravity waves. Yeah,
Ask the question.
the reason
think-
why. Yeah,
I think you, hang on. I think you mean gravitational waves. We've known gravity waves existed for a very long time.
no, you
Gravity
don't know
waves-
that, Steve. You don't know that.
Yes, Steve,
You
shut
didn't-
the fuck up.
We've
No,
known
wait,
about
the
gravity
reason-
waves for a very,
Garbage.
very fucking long
Yeah,
time.
he meant gravitational.
wait.
He meant gravitational
Yes.
waves. Yes.
He meant gravy.
Yes.
You cannot
Gravity waves.
you cannot explain gravitational wave when you are going to use Newtonian physics. You will simply use Einstein physics. But
Are you saying? Well, no. My Rags' turn to talk. So the moon and the sun are pushing each other away from each other.
no, wait.
Yeah, the moon is receding. There you go. Proved his
I will
point.
give.
Thank you.
I will give Rags. I will give an example. I give this
Okay.
example to Landon. I will give Landon. I
Right.
give this example to Landon. He didn't get it, so I'll give it to you.
Well, he's you know how Landon is. He's
Okay, assuming that we have a fixed volume of water in a swimming pool.
water
Fixed volume. Okay.
typically.
In a swimming pool.
Okay.
In a swimming pool.
Yes.
The size of a swimming pool is 1 meter.
Non-chlorinated?
Okay, the size of a swimming pool is 1 meter depth, 2
Okay.
meters width, and 1 to 3. 1 meter deep, 2 meter length, width, and 3 meters length.
It's a swimming pool.
Okay,
Gotcha.
Yeah, the volume. This volume cannot change.
Water, chlorine,
Okay.
dead cicadas. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So assuming that inside that water in that pool there is no object.
Okay, just water. Gotcha. Just water.
Okay. got it.
Okay.
So let's make an analogy. Let's make an analogy.
This is an
That's
analogy.
space. Okay, space. This is how Einstein sees space. Okay, I will explain to you.
Okay.
That's how he has seen space.
Mhm.
Space is just like water of swimming pool I have shown to you. It cannot change.
The
So
space of the pool cannot change.
yeah. We assume that it's
Yeah,
gonna change.
yeah, until more water is added to it, or until it evaporates. Sure, I can go with that.
Correct. So we neglect that. We don't use that. Assuming that the volume is fixed.
You bet.
Okay.
Closed environment swimming pool. Gotcha. Step 2.
Okay. Awesome. And then you are going to put a basketball ball inside that.
Gotcha.
Balls in water. Got it.
Inside.
I throw the ball in the water. Okay.
Watery balls.
So,
Okay. Balls in the water.
But you know that where are you going? So the volume that is consumed by the ball of the water, it will add to the volume. It will add to the volume of the water, but it since it is fixed.
No, the ball doesn't add to the volume of water.
Well, that's okay. Well, once you add something, it's no longer a closed space.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's take this back just so I
here's-
understand.
But here's according to Einstein, space is
No.
malleable.
Once you add something, once you add something, it's no longer a closed system. Simple as
So
that.
we have a pool.
Correct. Because you had the volume. Okay, correct.
And
the volume
what is this supposed to demonstrate to me?
Jesus.
Also, are we talking about?
But let me finish, please. Let me finish. I will. Let me finish. The way Einstein, the way I see, the way Michio Kaku see space, the way Einstein, Michio Kaku in me, and maybe Cross or maybe Neil Tyson, maybe the way I see space.
Humans,
Let me explain. Let me explain. So
Okay.
when you put a basketball ball inside that fixed volume of water,
Okay.
so assuming you put in the middle of the volume,
All in the water. Got it.
then you will see that the water is squeezed that basketball ball around it.
Yes,
around the surface.
because the ball displaces water.
Correct. That's how Einstein sees space squeezing Earth, sun, and that is squeezed. I call it squeezing. That water that squeezed the surface of the basketball ball is what we call gravity.
Wow. Okay.
So
And that So now
wait, say that
assuming
again.
that there are
Say that again. I
Okay,
didn't quite catch it.
Yeah,
Say that
you're gonna have to
say-
go through that one more
Say
time.
that last bit one more time about gravity.
Okay, so when you put a basketball ball into a fixed volume of water,
Gotcha.
in
In a pool, yes.
around the surface of the there was a pressure. There's a pressure that push that squeeze the what should I say the basketball ball.
Yeah,
There's a force
the
around
air
it.
pressure from gravity and the water beneath it. It's all pushing in on it because the ball's pressurized.
The water. It's only the water.
I think he's talking about a gravity well.
Well, not according to Edgar, and because gravity is not a force, because it's not gravity is not warping a space time, as Einstein said. Einstein's clearly wrong because Edgar says he's wrong.
Okay, because it sounded like he was just talking about
No, Einstein was
a
right.
gravity well.
Einstein was right. That's right. When you understand this kind of concept, you will understand gravitational wave. You will understand the bending of light.
Well, wait, go back.
I really want to understand this stuff.
So go back to the analogy about the pool and the ball. What is represented by gravity in that analogy? Because I'm not quite.
On that analogy, the pressure because the pressure from the surface of the ball is maximum, going to the outside, right? Assuming that the max.
You lost. You lost.
Clearly
me.
not. Yeah. So why is the gravitational force of the surface of the Earth greater than the gravitational force on the surface of the Moon?
Because of the density, I probably because of density. The density,
So,
the density
okay, so
are different.
the denser the planet, the stronger the gravity.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It depends on because for example, there are neutron stars that are so dense that it really what should I say? It distorts space.
Why do you think so? Have you done experiments, or you just think reality, or why is you thinking so make it so?
First, because I got a clue from Michio Kaku when he said that the space push an object from the space. Assuming that we have a space international space station.
It's like the game Clue. The Asian Science Channel with the
real quick, I got a super chat, so let me read this. Maiko says, Edgar is a troll, and he poorly spelled books are a basis to obtain residence. Please call him out on this and tell him to stop spreading ignorance. I'll say this about Edgar, because he doesn't know jack shit, but he's not a troll. He honestly believes his stuff. A troll is somebody who doesn't really believe his stuff. Edgar is not a troll. He's just I don't think Edgar's a troll. But he's not a troll.
Some people have done far less work to get into this country.
You know what? He's the only person I've seen to actually try to do an actual experiment. I'll give him that. I've
got a question for Edgar. Real quick. Edgar, how many different definitions of the word intelligence do you reject in your book that I have read? And please remember, I read the motherfucking book. So I know. I counted them. How many definitions of intelligence, all the different types of intelligence that we could talk about, do you reject and then come up with your own specific term? So you reinvent all of these different types of
first Red Eye, I don't know what book did you read. I have 6 science books. Okay, I don't know what book did you read. Second,
the book that you're talking about intelligence. You know exactly which fucking book, because it redefines you, and you put all the definitions in it. It's the book with the big list of all the definitions of intelligence that you reject. How many do you reject? That's my question.
70, maybe 80. All definition of intelligence apart from me are wrong.
All right, so what is your definition of intelligence to catch me up to speed? Because I'm just a normie, and I gotta know about this smartness. All right.
Okay, Rag. I think Rag, I will give you the shortest one. Okay, and maybe let Red Eye explain it. Okay, the non-intelligent first. I will give you the non-intelligence. Okay.
Yeah, non-intelligence. Buck to me, sport. This is your rodeo.
Non-intelligent. Okay, I will give you non-intelligent is when you have a problem and you have only solution. Equal. Okay.
All right. So intelligence is solving a problem.
No, Rex. Listen. Problem equals solution. Okay.
Problem equals solution.
That's not.
That sounds totally not right.
Okay. But
I get it.
Come on, this is the smartest guy on the planet here, Rags.
Right, so a problem and a solution is intelligence. Both of those things are those combined, like planeteers, and make intelligence.
Solution is intelligence, Rags. Come on, this is not hard.
How can you have problem? So you have two solutions to a problem.
This is how this is how the planet works, man. Come on, man.
This is basic Edgarology 101, man.
Look, I'm trying to get woke. I'm trying to get woke, and it's tough. So intelligence is a problem.
Is a problem with 2 or more solutions. This is the summary.
Okay.
2 or more solutions.
So intelligence is a problem and 2 or more solutions.
Yeah, because you will never have intelligence if you're having a problem. That's why I told you non-intelligence is always problem and solution. Because every event, every event,
lost me again.
Every X, every object in the whole existence can be just summarized into problem solution or problem solution.
Right, because you have a problem.
All right,
and so he points out like in the live feed, and they probably do this in jest, but no, this is actually what he thinks. You have a problem. And you subtract the solution, you have a net 0. So you've solved it. You have no more problem because you've got a solution. So you're net 0.
All right. So what is
intelligence?
So I'm
So when mathematicians prove something, they have a problem, they have a solution, they're not intelligent.
Yeah.
Just
they're not intelligent when they do that. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, because having just one
all the world scientists are not intelligent.
Landon, you're right.
All right. Okay. So how come having one solution to a problem that works, how come that is not intelligent, but coming up with multiple solutions to the same problem is intelligence? How come you need multiple solutions?
Yeah, that is the good question that the best scientists
Brilliant.
That is the good question that the best scientists, best thinkers in the world couldn't answer.
Rags is one of the best scientists in the world. Yes,
I am.
I did it. Yeah, the reason why we don't understand that, because we are latecomers. Before we study intelligence, we have already evolution. We have already a Big Bang, everything. So we just base our thinking on that, but we never go to reality, and we never go to science.
Okay.
But science.
So we discarded reality for that. Okay.
Yeah, so we definitely discard reality. This is a given.
Okay, so you didn't actually answer my question, which was
sorry.
Yeah, which is how come a single solution to a problem is not intelligence, and why do you need multiple solutions for it to be intelligence?
Yeah, because based on empirical experimentation that I have, empirical, because that we normally use empirical evidence in science.
Yeah.
Assuming so to solve intelligence and non-intelligence in two scenarios, we need first to nail which one is which one, which one is non-intelligent, which one intelligent. In my case, I use, because we humans being, we are using ourselves as a basis for explaining reality. I use newborn baby.
Okay.
A newborn baby. When that baby is hungry, that is a problem. And that baby drink milk, that is a solution.
Okay.
Did that baby use intelligence? No, it is a natural. So meaning non-intelligence. So when you nail non-intelligence, you can easily nail
I would say that
intelligence.
death is very natural.
Correct. There are natural. Yeah, I didn't say that there are no. I did not say that there are no natural. I said there are natural, and there are also there are also intelligence. That's why. That's why you see the reason why our scientists cannot nail this topic, because they don't know how to apply that to reality. I just applied it to a baby, into adult. For example, when you're a baby, when you have a 1-year-old child, when a child is hungry, a problem. When a child or hungry or thirsty, problem, and you give that food or you give that drink, solution. So you never use intelligence.
Well, this seems like it's just a matter of phrasing, right? If the problem is a baby is hungry, the solution, there would be one solution, which is to give it nourishment. So that's only one. That's only one solution. So that's not intelligent.
So that is natural. That is natural, right? So in other words, when you nail natural in science, then you can also nail intelligence in science. Because basis.
Okay, so what I said was just that this seems to be a question of how you phrase your answers, because how you phrase the answer can determine whether or not there are multiple solutions. And similarly, if we want to test this, then I would say, all right, well, if a problem is 2 + 2, can you give me multiple solutions to that would prove intelligence? Or can we get an answer to that and have it not be intelligent?
Rob, I'm sorry to say that your application of intelligence are different from the way I see it.
All right. So I'm asking you though. I'm asking you.
Let me finish. The way we apply intelligence is the way we categorize things or acts or phenomena or event. For example, I gave you a while ago about the cell, CELL. Okay, CELL.
That explained nothing, honestly.
No, I mean, first, I'm giving you the obvious one. Is cell designed intelligently or not?
No.
You would have to demonstrate that it is.
Of course, yes. That's why to demonstrate that, we need to demonstrate what is intelligence and what is design.
Yeah. Well, if you talk about Edgar, you talk about intelligence. And someone asked me to refute this. You gave out the ridiculous notion that the force of gravity depends upon density. The Cavendish experiment, one of the things they did was to look at the force of gravity of attraction of two masses. They actually measured that. They measured it with different densities. In fact, there's been very, very refined experiments done repeatedly to show that the force of gravity does not depend upon density. Furthermore, something like a neutron star, if you are at a fixed distance from a neutron star, from a star, and it collapses to a neutron star, the force of gravity on you does not change, right? And this has been measured to a very high accuracy. So when you talk about intelligence, you run up against reality, and reality says, Edgar, you're wrong.
Yeah, let me clarify on that real quick because I did get some super chats when we got Sandri, don't get jealous, man. He said, I am butthurt that Steve got a 99 on the ASVAB and I only got a 74 overachiever. Yes, I got a perfect score, but you got to understand, I'm no Edgar. So I'm just, you know.
Well, but
I would also be curious as to as opposed to density as compared to what? If it's density.
I mean, because he claims that the moon is a different density. That the force of gravity is not dependent upon density.
Okay, let me ask you this.
And Edgar is wrong. Edgar is wrong.
Edgar, hang on. Let me ask you this, Landon. So, because I already know the answer, but whatever. So, if they have the solar system as it is now, and let's say, for hypothetical purposes, the sun shrunk in its current location to the Schwarzschild limit and went below about 3 kilometers.
Increases density to a very high degree, yes.
Okay, so it's about 2.95 kilometers and it becomes a black hole.
Yeah.
Would we notice any orbital change in the Earth?
No.
Okay, so but it is denser, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how does density affect gravity then, Edgar?
You see, here's the thing. I think you guys are taking this way too big.
Let him answer.
Well, I know that I always base my explanation on something that we can test. Okay, I said a while ago that I can test between the basketball ball and the water pool. That is the best explanation of space and massive object. So maybe I'm wrong about density. Maybe there are other particles that I don't know. But based on Einstein and based on the way Einstein explained reality, is space and gravity.
Einstein did not explain that. Edgar, what works of Einstein have you read? Have you read anything by Einstein? Have you read anything he's written by? Have you?
I mean,
what have you read? Right? You think about the works of Einstein. What have you read about Einstein? Or is there something wrong with your intelligence?
No, what I've read about Einstein based on the documentary about the general relativity.
You don't read documentaries, you listen to them. Yeah. What have you read about Einstein? What have you read about that Einstein wrote? What have you read?
No, I didn't read Einstein wrong because he speak about he speaks German.
So let me ask you this, Edgar.
He speaks German.
I want to bring it back a little bit because Rags, you should be aware of this, and this is supposedly a fact. Edgar is actually a civil engineer with an engineering degree.
Well, he is being rather civil, so I can believe it.
You know what? I think he does have a degree in civility because he's
Fair enough.
a nice guy. I will give him that.
Yeah.
But Landon, let me ask you because you know a little about math. You're pretty smart in math. I've seen your shit. I don't fucking understand any of it. So yeah, no, I'm not even kidding. I know I can look at something. Okay, I kind of grasp what's kind of going on, but
Steve, if I don't understand things, it's a conspiracy.
It's NASA. But he's really into
Illuminati.
This, Illuminati. He does like ring theory shit, weird, whatever. But anyway, so let me ask you this:
ring theory?
Yeah, there's ring theory. Ring theory is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it's actually a fun.
Yeah, if you calculate it, you should have put a ring on it.
Fucking really?
But that's coupling theory.
So let me ask you, Landon.
Coupling ain't no theory to me.
If you're a civil engineer, because you obviously have the same mathematics what an engineer would take, do you think that an engineer should be able to do very, very simple mathematics? And I'm talking like if I ask an engineer what the derivative of x squared is, do you think they should be able to answer that like on the fly without having to really think about it?
I think that engineers should be able to do fundamental operations in a head to be able to do anything credible within engineering. Yes.
Okay. So I would say a simple calculus problem like that should be pretty basic for engineering. Okay. How about something like maybe like pi? If I asked what would be a simple way to define pi, Would that be something an engineer should be able to figure out? Maybe.
I mean, I'm not sure if you're talking about, for example, it's the convergent series for pi or something.
No, not even that. Geometric, just basically circumference divided by diameter kind of shit.
Yes, you should be able to know fundamental because fundamental things within geometry. Yes.
Okay. Yes. All right. So how about maybe what sine is? Do you think an engineer should know what a sine function is?
Particularly, that's quite important.
Okay. How about Young's modulus? Maybe.
Oh, particularly if you're a structural engineer or something, you really important. Yes.
So if I ask Edgar, and I have, and I'm not going to ask him now, but I've asked him those 4 questions before, exactly those same things, to wit, he has no idea.
Look, listen, maybe being a civil engineer on other parts of the world are not, maybe they're not held up to the same rigorous standards as over here.
It's built pretty shitty.
So maybe you should take your Western privilege and check it. Okay.
So it's white science, I guess, right? It's white.
Yes, Steve, how about you decolonize your mind?
Damn colonization.
Wow.
And by the way, for those that
is this Western privilege now?
It's the tensile stress divided by
strain.
The strain, and it's called existential strain.
Yeah,
I
took metallurgy.
But I think it's a matter of saying, one of the things in particular is that I think Edgar gets into trouble is that he starts stating facts, like he stated stuff about density, which is wrong, right? And you let him go for a while, he'll start spouting stuff, and then you come back. Well, he believes. Well, he listened to a documentary about Einstein, and therefore he somehow knows about Einstein. And that's one of his problems. I mean, if he were focusing on really the philosophy of intelligence, he might have some basis to try to operate in. But when he goes on about like probability of 300% or other things, things that are nonsense, it really undermines his credibility.
He's not wrong about his facts. They're just alternative.
No, they're alternative facts.
Well, actually, Orlando, let me talk, please. Let me talk. Let me answer to that. Sure. Okay, actually, Orlando, the reason why I know that my science is better than you, because I can show you what experiment you should be done without using any telescope whatsoever. You see,
you really want to compare your math to him?
What I'm trying to say first, I understand what Einstein had seen about space and gravity. Maybe I'm wrong about density. Maybe they're not a particle.
How can you understand what Einstein said about gravity when you've never read anything?
Because even though Einstein is dead, the people
that makes a difference.
I guess
the people who study Einstein, like
can you explain special relativity?
He is special relativity.
Well, you got half of that right.
So, maybe we should take this further back to the basics, because I think some of the big specific questions maybe aren't where we should be going. I think we should go back to the core foundation of the thing. So
you got 15 minutes, because after that I got to end this at 10:30 my time. So
let's put it this way, Edgar. Someone approaches you with a problem. Like, how do you find the diameter of a circle or something like that, right? How would you go about finding a solution to that? How would you go about finding out how? Let's simplify it. How do you find out what 2 + 2 is?
Well, you are going to make an experiment to show that your 2 + 2 is equal to 4.
Okay.
Everything you are going to do is you must duplicate it, repeat it, and falsify it. That's why whether you are adding 2 + 2 or whatever, you must make an experiment.
In the case of 2 + 2, can you give me multiple solutions to that problem?
I can.
No. What do you mean? Are you talking about intelligence, or are you talking about?
I'm just asking for multiple solutions to the problem 2 + 2. How do we arrive? Can you give me multiple solutions to that?
Just only one.
Any two will do. I am not in a particularly picky mood.
Any values of 2.
please, I am a scientist who knows to apply something. Can you tell me what is your, what is
two of the thing to
what is your bottom line? Okay, what is your bottom line? What do you want to say? Please make it concrete.
There's no code. I'm not speaking in riddles. I'm just asking for multiple solutions to the question, what is 2 + 2?
And I assume you're just wanting basic arithmetic.
Your problem is 2 + 2, and you want it to solve it. You are asking me if there are more solution for that.
I'm asking for you.
Are you differentiating something? Because your question.
Give the 2 solutions, or say I can't do it because.
Edgar, I promise you, I'm not trying to trick you or mislead you or to take you astray.
Don't believe him, Edgar. Rags lies.
I do, but not at this moment. This moment, I am being as earnest as one could possibly be.
Now we find ourselves in a philosophical problem.
So, I promise to you, Edgar.
Who's the one who always tells the truth?
I think
would you trust a dog in shades? Come on.
I would, because I have not led you astray before. My past behavior would suggest that I am simply on a search for knowledge. All right. I'm like the rest of you guys. I just want to find out what the truth is. And in order to do that, I gotta know what is 2 + 2. And can you give me multiple solutions? Because maybe I just want to be thorough and I want to make sure I've got multiple solutions.
Yeah, if the question is, there is only one solution to that 2 + 2 addition process.
All right.
Okay. One solution.
Okay. So does that mean there's no other solutions? What is the singular solution that exists then?
You are going to use additional process. Addition process.
Okay. So let's where you're sitting in a room. Toddlers are everywhere. There's a teacher. She's semi-hot. And she's asking you, what is 2 + 2? Right? You're tasked with finding the solution. What is 2 + 2? What would you tell this teacher? Let's say she's a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, you are going to answer them based on your knowledge about 4. So it's natural, not intelligence.
Okay, so that it is not intelligent. So does that mean that there's no element of intelligence that goes into solving that?
Because the problem is because that's the way we classify things based on our human way of dealing things.
All right, so if we gave that test to like an animal, for instance, and they were able to find out that 2 things and then 2 other things make 4 things, that wouldn't be a test to measure maybe intelligence.
No, animals has no intelligence. They have only instinct.
Okay.
Animals except humans has no intelligence. They have only instinct.
That is you're just fucking wrong. Animals can solve problems.
That's why, guys, you must define.
Okay. So an animal has no capacity to find multiple solutions to a problem. Every single time an animal is presented with a question, it will only give, and into perpetuity, will only give a single answer to that question without any deviation.
By instinct.
Correct.
Okay.
By instinct. Correct.
Okay.
Because the way I define instinct. Okay.
Okay. So if you, for instance, if you have a good boy, if you have a good boy, a dog, right? Good doggo. And you have a ball and you throw that ball into the woods, and it is the objective of that dog to retrieve aforementioned ball and return it from whence it came. There are no 2 solutions to that. It cannot take multiple pathways. It cannot take a variable amount of time in order to locate aforementioned ball. There is only one solution, and it will do that one thing over and over and over without deviation, right?
No, Rag. The problem is you throw it to retrieve, and the dog retrieve it. So what is the problem?
There are multiple.
The problem is to retrieve, and the solution is to retrieve.
The problem is that there is
natural.
Ball in the
not
person's
intelligence, right?
Oh, but the dog can make multiple solutions to retrieving the ball and bringing it back to its owner.
Right.
Even if it lands in the same exact place.
You see, let's go back again to a child, 1 year old. Assuming that the 1 year old child would like to drink something, assuming that he would like to drink, assuming that he would like to drink a milk based on the left side or right side of his mouth, you think he's used intelligence? No. So there are many ways to drink. I understand that.
Okay, but the dog thing.
There are only one way to solve the thirst. So in other words, you must specify reality. That's the reason why.
Reality is that as someone who has played fetch before, right? There are multiple ways for a dog to solve the problem, right? Does that not demonstrate?
But there's only one solution of fetching.
Yeah, the one solution is the problem is retrieve.
All right,
and
so
the
this
solution
goes back into what I said earlier.
Okay.
It's about the scale of how you phrase it, right? If an infant is thirsty, there is only one solution, which is to
drink.
Yes. But earlier on, you specified giving different things to the child as multiple solutions. So it's just a scale of how far you look at the answer, right?
Yeah, because because remember, if you apply that to reality, for example, the flowing of the water of the river, okay, this is how we apply that in reality, assuming that there's a river, the river. So the river flows to the river flows from the top to the bottom. Do you think the river used intelligence? No, the river is flowing naturally based on a certain what should I say, certain amount of
Gravity.
Whatever. Gravity, yeah.
Fluid mechanics.
Squeeze-ons. But remember, the flow of the river is also one of natural process because the problem is to flow and the river flow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same, right? The problem would like to flow and the river flow.
Yeah.
So in other words, you see, that's the reason why our science today did not understand intelligence, because they don't know how to apply intelligence in reality and how to use empirical evidence. You didn't make an experiment like the way I do.
All right,
the way I done.
So we've determined that we've determined that finding out what 2 + 2 is not intelligence.
Yeah, I mean, according to Edgar, you have to do it by experiment. Mathematics is really screwed because there's an infinite number of numbers, and we got to do all these experiments to understand addition.
Busy for a very long time.
Yeah, how do you know that 10 billion plus 10 billion is 20 billion? I mean, you're gonna have to find 10 billion things, and then I mean, like you're all tired.
And you have to do 10 billion and then 10 billion
You're gonna find 10 billion more things, and now you're like, well, shit, I am too tired to count all this.
I'm wondering if that's
the reason why
exactly.
We don't really have to see 10 billion plus 10 billion a posteriori to know 10 billion.
Yeah, the reason why we know that our mathematics is right. Okay, sorry, Steve. The reason why we know our mathematics is right. Yeah, Einstein had calculated the curvature of light. The reason why we know his calculation is right because we can test it. We can see it in reality.
I'm going to call this Einsteinian tangential conversationalism, which is that every conversation will eventually have a tangent revolving around Albert Einstein.
No. What I'm trying to say is that you see, because what Einstein has seen reality.
Edgar, are you sitting in a dark room right now?
Yes.
No.
With no lights on?
There's actually a couple of coils that you can see over there in the corner.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is that some kind of a light? What is that?
He doesn't even have a camera.
I know he does because it moves a little bit.
It
moves a little bit. You can see it.
Squeeze-ons.
Yeah.
See, it moved. See,
are you floating or not?
It used to be in like the middle. Now it's on the left. So I'm wondering if he's in a dark room.
He's in a dark room. It should be full of snooze-ons, right?
There's no fucking gravity in that room, and he's floating around. Holy fucking shit!
Excess amount of snooze-ons.
Edgar, let's back it up. Let's put it this way. All right. So let's say, how do we most of us can mathematically understand that 10 billion plus 10 billion is 20 billion, right? But we don't actually have really like a legitimate exact experiment, because we need 10 billion things and 10 billion things. Like we could take other numbers and we know how math works, right? So if you need an experiment for that, how would you go? Like, how would Edgar, right? If Edgar had to find out what's 10 billion plus 10 billion, what is your process for determining the answer to that question? How would you find out? What's the intelligent?
For me, the best way for me to solve that problem is to use the basic. Use the 10.
Okay.
Use 10 and 10, and then you multiply it by the billion.
So how can you be certain that the same rule will apply to 10 billion that it does to 10?
Because first the reason why it will apply to 10 billion to the 10 because you are just using what you call the root word. The root word is billion. 10 billion. You have two root words. So in other words,
know what you mean. I think I know what you mean. Okay.
You speak language now. You're getting it. Are you woke?
I'm filling in the gaps and I'm buying what he's selling.
That's why the reason why my knowledge, my explanation of intelligence, because when I use the mathematics and apply it to reality, it works. The same way Einstein uses mathematics and applied it to the curvature of light, and it works. You see,
I'm going to do this.
I have to live. I have to live. Okay, I have to live.
Edgar, I'm going to do this. You have to leave?
Okay.
You have to go?
Yeah, I have to leave. Maybe 1 more minute. Okay. Maybe next time, give me more time.
Go ahead, Edgar. Like finish it up with Rags, because Rags is getting woke, and I don't want him to go back to sleep because he's just now waking.
Yeah. I would say so. So you mentioned. So what's the big? I think you've been a little ambiguous about it, but what is the big difference between what's generally accepted by humanity as the sciences and what you have discovered? What is the big thing, right, that puts you above them, right? What do you know that they don't?
The reason why I think I'm the best scientist and the best discoverer because I had discovered intelligence. Because when you discovered intelligence, you discover also how to categorize all X in the entire universe: the particles, the matters, the moon, the sun, the star, the chair, the personal computer, the bicycle. Everything you can classify them if they are intelligent design or not. And I can explain the origins correctly.
Well, can I ask that we knew before you were alive? You sound like a young guy, but before you were alive, in fact, most things happened before we were alive, from what I hear. Allegedly. So before we were around, we knew about stars and the moon and planets and things of that nature. So even with their faulty understanding of intelligence, they were still able to discover all of these things correctly and produced all of these models and predictions that seem to be holding true. So if that's the case, then how come they don't need what intelligence truly is to solve all of these things? And what does your version of intelligence have to add to humanity? What can you give us that they cannot?
Okay, Rags, I will give you one example. Me, Einstein, and Newton. Me and the whole world.
I would the holy trinity of scholars.
Okay, okay, wait. Newton had explained. Okay, I had to go. Wait. Okay, last. Newton had seen a part of reality. Einstein has seen the whole reality. The same in me. I seen the whole reality, and you are seeing the part of reality. I have to go. My wife is telling me to go.
Well,
maybe next time. Okay.
This intelligent.
Sorry.
Okay, say hi to Mrs. Intelligence Design.
Say hello to Miss Edgar. Goodbye, Edgar. Au revoir.
Yeah, that's over.
Toodly doodly.
So, Rags, you have been
subjected to.
There actually is a test for this. Red may have it. Do we have the test? We have an actual test to determine whether you understand Edgarisms.
I want this test written out for fear that the questions will be altered.
It's written. It is written out. It's on a web page.
I want the rules to stay consistent.
I've actually got a verbal test for you. It's like on a scale of 10, because it's kind of my fault that you found out about Edgar. On a scale of 10, How badly do you want to punch me in the face right now because of what you just
About
went through?
11.6.
I to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't mind hugging because that was amazing.
Well, you see, there was a time in my life where I was primitive, superstitious, barbaric, one might even say, but then I accepted the flat earth into my life. And after that point, I feel as if it's like a switch was turned on and all of the truths that have been hidden from me were suddenly made clear. And I feel like Edgar is yet another stepping stone on my pathway to enlightenment. And I feel that from being here tonight, I've ascended just a few inches closer to that great intellectual enlightenment.
Yeah.
I had so many questions, and I have so many less questions now.
You're almost a Gnostic at this point.
Yeah. Now, if you are an intelligent person and a mathematician, you can come up with multiple solutions to 2 + 2. In fact, I would
now
think
that we've
that
established.
Yeah.
Now that we've established that intelligent people and mathematicians are different things.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Well, correct me if I'm wrong though. But for any linear equation, there's only one unique solution, infinite solution, or no solution.
but you see what you do, Steve, is you go and you bring up different axiomatic systems, or you bring up different forms of 4.
And that's what I would. That's the approach I would.
I'm a teach a man to fish kind of doggo. I want to know the process. You know, it's not enough for me to just understand that density causes gravity and that lights push you down and there are snoozons in the air or the dark air around us. I want to know why. I want to delve deeper.
I also kind of like the analogy you were bringing up earlier about throwing the dog the ball.
Don't throw the
ball.
I mean,
even if it lands the same spot.
Ball, go
much like a cat will always land on its feet, a dog will always land on the ground. So please.
We're gonna probably have Edgar come in and hey, Landon, how about this? We're gonna Edgar come in and he can explain ZFC theory to us. Would that be interesting? I would enjoy that.
Sure.
Steve, why do you want to kill me?
By the way, Ganesh, I was not ignoring you. I love you. I was going to end this, but you know what? I might be changing my mind if you want to stick around.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't get to catch Aron's debate anyway, so I'm going to go and watch that.
You suck.
Yeah, I was down sick.
Well, he sounds like a
give you a quick recap of it. I mean, seriously, it was basically I'm an idiot. Hi, my name is George. I'm an idiot. Hi, I'm Aron. I'm gonna kick your ass. Thanks for playing, and Aron left.
Oh wait, no, you got to play the part of Kyle.
Shut the fuck up. From what I heard, he dropped the mic and left.
Yeah,
pretty much
that's what I heard as well. Also,
so nothing different from
there was somebody in the live chat who actually said I only watched about the first 20 minutes and I couldn't make it past it. And I told him, I said, well, you missed the best parts then, and you need to just get a bottle of alcohol, get a blanket, and from somebody to hold you gently. And they just got back to me a while ago and said, "Oh my fucking god, you weren't kidding."
Very eloquent solution. Very eloquent solution.
Problem solution. We didn't even get into the Agent Satellite Stone. That would have fucked Rams all up.
Because I can feel the earth around me getting younger and younger as we spoke. It was very strange.
Are you sure that
they just felt more new? They felt more fresh, more alive.
He is a younger creationist. If you didn't
more vibrant.
know.
I'd heard. We didn't get much into that tangent, of course, but I believe it 100%.
Oh, he's a young Earth creationist, so he's wrong. Cool.
That's the best science, man. I'll tell you what. I'll do this because I know it's late. I can't really talk much, but I know people want to listen to stuff. We have like 150 people still watching. I don't mind taking this to the Great Debate Community channel and opening it up and let other people run it, and I'll just listen in, and then I can end it any time. I'm completely fine with that. If you guys want to do that,
I'm fine with that.
Sure.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm fine with that.
Matter of fact, if one of you actually want to. If anybody here wants to be a manager of the Great Debate Community channel page,
I do.
The channel, I can make that happen. If you're not already a member, I think who said that?
Me.
Okay,
Me,
well,
Max.
you're already a manager.
No, I'm not. I'm a mod on the Discord.
Oh, okay. Okay. Do you want to run a GDC hangout then? Oh, by the way, if you haven't before I go off there on this particular hangout, if you haven't subbed to Rags, go sub to him. He needs.
Yes.
He's really hurting. And I think he's just, I don't know. He sucks. It's like only like 300,000 or something. You know, give the guy a bone, man. You know.
Yeah, I mean, like I think I already subbed to Red. I watched his Battlefield 5 thing.
I mean, compared with how many people have subscribed to Edgar, that's
well, he must be. He's at what? He's got to be like what, 1 million at least on the science section of YouTube.
Oh, Rags, you got over 300,000 now. I'm proud of you. You come a long way.
I broke new ground.
You know,
is what I did.
So you have 1 subscriber per kilometer per second for speed of light.
I have 1 subscriber per inch of my giant.
He's actually faster than C because he's 6,676 subs over C.
And for every subscriber, there's trillions of squeeze-ons in the universe.
You see, it makes my dick not longer necessarily, but more dense.
Density is important.
And when you get it in the dark, it's nice and light too, and easy to.
That's not an image.
You think that you.
By the way,
you know what squeeze-ons in the dark are. I promise you, not yet, do you?
That's a bit saucy.
Squeeze-ons on the dick density.
That's a specimen bar.
I'm curious. I'm curious about Edgar's stance on certain moral issues, though. For instance, sodomy.
Yes, he's all for it. No, I actually don't.
There's more than one solution.
We're gonna find out though.
No, I would guess after what happened, he would be pretty all for it. I mean, he took it really well. So
I see what you did there, Ganesh. I see what you did there. I'm picking up what you are laying down.
By the way, I was subscriber 305639, which is Prime, by the way.
I haven't even subscribed to Rack. Fuck you all.
Yeah.
No,
Stop cork sniffing with your mathematics, Landon. Jesus, mate.
But it's only one solution, so it's not intelligent. It's not an intelligent subscription. I need to be subscribed to him twice, you see, to be.
Yeah, so I have to get a sock now to subscribe to Rag, so he can be a true solution.
Oh my God!
One sub is enough for him. Do you want my socks to sub to him too?
I think I found out why I'm always tired. You see, inside the human body is dark, so that makes us full of snooze-ons.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Wait, what? No way.
Because your organs would be kind of floating around there inside, doing weird things.
In the dark.
Yeah.
Well, we need to find a way to expel snooze-ons then.
They go out when you poop.
Max doesn't know how to run a hangout.
Shove a light bulb up your ass and turn it on.
Oh dear.
Sorted. No more fucking
don't know how to run a hangout. Want to run the GDC hangout?
Please use an LED array, not old school conventional light bulbs. That will not end well.
Speaking of
that's a safety
Red,
warning.
I'm gonna do it.
Who's gonna do it?
Red doesn't know how to do it. Red is the manager of the GDC channel.
Yeah, I've got to head out for about an hour though, mate. So I'm just about to leave this one, and I've got to get to the shop before it shuts, and I've got about 5 minutes. So,
Ganesh, do you know how to run a hangout?
I can, but the problem is I might pass out.
Fair enough.
I reckon we all pile into the non-sex show Discord and just have a clusterfuck in there.
Yeah, let's do a Discord.
I mean, I can host the hangout if you like.
Yeah,
but
go to the Discord.
You can stream it to the GDC. People want to watch because that's the people are like.
Yeah, I can host a hangout. No issues.
Okay. Well, yeah, but you don't know how to stream it from the GDC.
Oh,
well, you don't know how to stream it from the Discord.
No, I know how to stream. I am a streamer. That's not a problem.
Oh, you have the overlay too?
I don't have your overlay. I have my overlay.
Well, because the NSS has that overlay for when people are talking.
Oh yeah, I don't have that. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think that people will be able to piece it together in their head. They can close their eyes and pretend that it's a play unfolding on a stage in front of them. They're just blind and they can't enjoy it like the rest of the normal people can.
Yeah, like you can recognize Landon's voice, you can recognize my beautiful voice, and you can recognize Rags.
You have a wonderful voice. Okay, so let me do this. So Ganesh, you want to do that, and I'll give you the stream key. Oh no, what you need?
Yeah, I don't have the overlay, right?
Give me.
What about Dave? Dave's sitting in the non-sec Discord. Send him a message, see if he wants to set one up.
Oh, Dave's had enough fuckery for today.
Canada, not Bulls.
Canada Day.
Proxy Bob Rock.
Oh. Well, I'll tell you what. You guys will figure it out. Go to the Non-Sequitur Show Discord.
We're going to talk about that now.
The link is in any Non-Sequitur Show video, so just head over to the Non-Sequitur Show, get the link to Discord, go in there, and then we'll figure out how to stream to the Great Debate Community channel in the next few minutes. If you haven't subscribed to the Great Debate Community channel,
see you there, and I'll see you
on YouTube.
And hope you get to the your store on time. Ready?
Wait. Right. We're going to the Great Debate Community Discord, right? Or the Non-Sequitur?
No. You're going to be going to the Non-Sequitur Show Discord.
Non-Sequitur Discord.
It's going to be streaming to the Great Debate Community
Community. I don't have mods there.
I sense a civil war brewing between the Non-Sequitur and the Great Debate Community. Pick your side.
Non-Sequitur came from? It was an outcropping of the.
Yeah, where do you think the Confederate States of America came from? What's your point?
Fucking Christ.
I'm just going to fight myself in the front yard.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
It is okay to be white. Good night.